You found the skeleton. How would you tell people that this is you personally? How would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, we are live with Kent with Bent number, what is this, 11? Well, no, 12, Can't Get Enough. Unfortunately though, Bent Hovind couldn't be here, but that's okay because we have both Maya and Kevin from Dead Kennedy in Space, so why don't you two say hello?
Hello everyone.
Hey everybody.
Alright, so if you don't know, Dead Kennedy in Space has an excellent YouTube channel where he does takedowns of some flat Earth stuff. He talks about astronomy and science and all sorts of cool stuff. So, actually, I'm now embarrassed. I did not get a link to your channel already. If you send me one of them, I'll post it right in the chat and make sure to subscribe to you. You have some excellent content now.
Well, thank you very much. Give me 1 second for that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm officially embarrassed that I didn't do that. So yeah, let's see. We have a few announcements. I have pretty well locked in a debate on Team Skeptic's channel between myself and Fight the Flat Earth. So Fight the Flat Earth and I disagree on an issue surrounding children and the Flat Earth. And so basically, Craig has been saying for a while that it should be considered child abuse to teach kids Flat Earth. I think that that is a bit excessive. So, assuming that everything comes together the way it's looking like it will, days around, let's see, 7 p.m. Eastern West time on Team Skeptic's channel, Craig and I will hash out some of these differences. And of course, you know, I'm friends with Craig. It's going to be a friendly thing. Friendly disagreement. There's not...
Bob Knob would like to know if you're recording in the bathroom.
Oh, you know what? I can... Because I didn't move my microphone. Is this any better?
That sounds way better.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So I have my microphone where I put it for when I'm not live, but I forgot to move it. Sorry about that. Yeah. Actually, Bob Knob got me this very nice microphone, but it's not very nice if I don't use it properly. So that's the tricky bit. Let's see. Other announcements. I'm currently talking with James, the owner and usual moderator for Modern Day Debates. Yeah, Modern Day Debates, about doing another debate with Kent Hovind. Yeah, he says that Kent Hovind would like to do a debate with me. So, sound amazing. Must be an amazing mic. It is an amazing mic. Thank you. So yeah, so look for that around the end of January. We're still hammering out the details. But yeah, it looks like I will be on Modern Day Debate, doing a debate with Kent Hovind. My second debate with Kent Hovind, although I think he may have forgotten that we ever did a debate. So, because at one point, Ben Hovind actually super chatted at him and mentioned me, and he didn't seem to have any recollection of that. Or maybe he just blocked it out because of how poorly he did. Because, I mean, he admitted to not knowing what a dinosaur is. So... Which would be okay if he wasn't styling himself as an expert on dinosaurs.
DrDino.com.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's embarrassing. But anyway, the only other big thing I have is that I'm going to be starting a second channel for, like, off-topic stuff. So if there's anything that I do, like gameplay or like artistic stuff or whatever, just other stuff that I do, but I kind of want to just put it online, it'll be on that channel. It's going to be called Top Hats Off, and I will be creating that probably this weekend, and you'll start seeing links to it on live streams. It'll be featured on my channel, stuff like that. So yeah, there will be live stream gameplay. There'll be, if I ever want to make a quick video about something that's just really off topic, I'll put it up there. So, yeah, the only real connection it'll have to this channel will basically be on my community tab or on my Twitter, if you follow my Twitter, because I'm not going to get a second Twitter for it. Because, well, one, I hate Twitter, two, I'm lazy.
Having one Twitter is awful enough.
Oh, yeah, Twitter is the worst. And I say that despite having set this up with Kevin here, on Twitter.
Yeah, it's like the Buckleys of social media. It's awful and it works.
Right, exactly. It's just good enough, or it's just not bad enough that I'm willing to keep using.
Right.
But it's a cesspool of horribleness. But yeah. All right, so we are going to pick up where I left off with Bent Hovind last time on Seminar 3. And Kevin, I don't think you saw that one, did you?
I didn't. However, I've been looking at this screen for a while now, and I'm kind of curious. After the Flood by Bill Cooper. I hope that's not the Bill Cooper that I'm familiar with, the famous conspiracy theorist Bill Cooper.
Oh, I'm quite confident it is. I very much bet that it is. In fact, I'll bet if you Google that book, chances are you'll find it's this guy. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Because Kent Hovind is a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. I was looking that up, and I was trying to find out if it was the Bill Cooper, and I couldn't find any kind of accolades or a degree connected to the author of that book, so I'm guessing it's probably the conspiracy theorist one.
Right, probably. And also, this is an image that Kent says is a man pulling the arm off of a dragon. And by dragon, he also means dinosaur. And he's connected
so
it
his
to
thing,
Beowulf, yeah.
So his thing is because people wrote about dragons, those were actually dinosaurs.
Right. Yeah. So that's basically all you missed is him just making claims. Like, before this, he was talking about Grendel and Grendel's mother being dragons, despite the fact that they're not dragons. And he's like, if you read it in the Old English, and I was like, well, you know what? I've done that. Because I aced my Old English test final, which was basically, hey, translate a big section of Beowulf. Like, here's 3 pages of Beowulf, translate into modern English, go. Yeah, I aced that test, so... Anyway, we're going to get going on this. No further ado. Here we go.
Interesting. Get the book After the Flood if you want a whole lot more on dragons living with man. But there's a city in France that's famous because a dragon came up out of the water, and a guy killed it and cut the head off and stuck it over the corner of the building. The head of the dragon was mounted on his building. They called it the gargoyle. How many of you have ever heard of the gargoyle? They still do that today. You can buy these ugly little critters, you put them on your building or whatever over your door.
Yeah, there's definitely no way that was just a folk story to explain why weird monsters were carved onto the corners of buildings after the original reason was sort of lost. That can't possibly be it, right?
What are you talking about? People don't write fictional stories. That doesn't exist.
That's a good point. I forgot. Yeah. Also, that means I should probably just go take a trip to Hogwarts, right? Like, if I run at that little pillar between platforms 9 and 10, I'll totally go through it, right? The London Underground? Yeah, okay.
Well, the word gargoyle means throat. We get our word gargle, gurgle, regurgitate, gorge, and glutton from that word.
I'm going to check this.
Yeah, I don't believe him on that.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask that.
Let's see.
Now, it could almost sound plausible, but
Okay, he's sort of right. It does come from Old French meaning throat.
Okay. Yeah, and okay. All right, I'll give him that. But he has historically been bad at etymology, so
Yes.
I check his etymologies because he is not typically correct about them. What was, like, he
you
says
just
universe.
right twice a day, and then you have Kent, who is right less frequently.
When Kent says something, that's actually pretty good evidence that it's not true. He is wrong far more often than he's right. So if you don't have access to any way to check him, if you just assume that everything he says isn't true, you'll be closer to being right than if you assume the opposite.
Yeah.
Has to do with the throat. So next time you gargle, you can think about slaying a dragon. You see, Brother Hovind, I am slaying a dragon when I gargle. Okay, anyway.
Oh, it's because of the water passing through the throat of the mouth of the figure. Because, one of the original purposes of gargoyles is a decorative, basically, like, gutter drain. Put gutters on buildings, they empty into gargoyle mouths because that's fancy. So it has nothing to do with some story about some French man killing a dragon in a river. And it's always convenient that none of these animals ever leave behind bones that anyone preserves that we could look at.
Well,
Yeah.
but God wrote a handy book upon which we can reference to find the truth of gargoyles, apparently.
Gargoyles in the Bible, guys. It's in the book of Second Kent.
An Irish writer said they killed a dragon with iron nails on its tail. Well, Stegosaurus certainly had big spikes on his tail, that's for sure. So did several other animals, but
They weren't made
there's
of
a Viking
iron.
woodcut showing a dragon swallowing a guy. This is
That dragon looks suspiciously like a mammal. Like, look at the nose. That's a mammal nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that little what do you even call that? The nares thing where it's the little fleshy nose. Yeah, reptiles don't have that. That's an extremely mammalian characteristic. So that's one of the things is a lot of his medieval dragons actually look like mammals. It's like if you're trying to tell me this is an accurate depiction of a dinosaur, you're just wrong.
Right.
That is just as likely to be a dog as it is to be any particular dinosaur.
Yeah,
I don't think
drawings of dinosaurs from 75 years ago aren't even accurate.
Right. Well, and I hope he gets to that because he's someone who believes that the ecostones are authentic. And
Ooh.
yeah, I hope he gets to that. I don't know if he does though.
from the 11th century, 1,000 years ago, okay? The Vikings put dragon heads on their ships 1,000 years ago. Why would they do that? Well, they knew about the great dragon of the sea. They called it the Kraken.
Or because it was scary. I mean,
Yeah.
Vikings weren't going out on like peaceful missions. They were going out to, kill people and rape.
Pillage and yeah.
Right. Like they wanted to intimidate people because it's easier to pillage and rape when people are already scared of you.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever, sure. It's because they actually found the Kraken, which is actually supposed to be a squid-like monster, but it was actually a dinosaur, even though there aren't any aquatic dinosaurs until basically you get to penguins, which Kent doesn't think is a dinosaur. So I don't even know what dinosaur it could have been. But then again, Kent doesn't know what a dinosaur is, so who knows?
And there's no possibility that the Kraken myth itself was just a kind of invention of old mariners to kind of explain all the mysterious disappearances at sea that we didn't have the technology to understand yet.
Well, and I wouldn't be terribly surprised if there was something like, someone hauled up the corpse of a giant squid.
Sure.
I mean, and then, have you ever seen one of those in person?
Giant squid?
Yeah.
Not in person, but I've seen enough videos of them to know that they're huge.
I saw one in person at the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History in DC, and it is... You look at the videos, and it doesn't really give you a sense of just how big they are. This thing was in a tank that ran the length of a decent-sized room, and they had to double back all the arms on itself because they were too long.
Wow.
It was enormous. And, sure, they don't normally... As far as I know, there are no confirmed attacks on anyone by a giant squid. But people disappear at sea, and you see one of these things in one of your nets or washed up on the beach, because that happens. It's pretty easy to see where you get the Kraken myth.
Yeah.
I mean, they're terrifying. And they have giant, horrible, sharp beaks inside of their nightmare maws full of tentacles. And the suckers on all the arms are tipped with little tooth-like serrated bits. I mean, everything about a giant squid is horrifying.
Yeah. They are nightmare fuel.
Yeah. Although I kind of want to eat one.
I've had squid before. It's very rubbery.
Yeah, but not if you get a really good cut of mantle from like a Humboldt squid, which are actually animals that do attack people.
Huh.
Humboldt squid kill people all the time.
Giant squid sounds like it would be too tough. Like giant crabs, like that's where it's at.
Okay. Well, let's see what Ken has to say about it.
Again, Bill Cooper's got a lot on that in his book, but the famous Icelandic hero Siegfried slew the dragon Fafnir. As a castle, bricks were found in a castle from the 12th century showing dragons. There's a 12th century castle in Germany with dragons on it.
I think that's just a fish. Like it looks like it has gills and fins. I think that's just a funny looking fish. Honestly. It's even got like the overlapping diamond scales like dinosaurs didn't have.
Mm.
I mean, so what bothers me about that is like it's clearly art. It's not supposed to really represent anything. I mean, unless there's some ancient thing that either didn't fossilize or that I don't know about, which is totally possible.
I mean, that looks like nothing in the fossil record.
but that's what I'm saying. It looks like art to me. But again, Ken thinks, I don't know why I'm talking. Ken thinks Carlo.
Although Doug gives us a nice comment. He says, "Fun fact: Kent was born at the age of 65 and hasn't aged a day since. Hashtag Kent facts." It does seem like it. Yeah, it seems like he's basically just been 65 for as long as I've known of him. I see pictures every once in a while where he looks like he's in like his mid 40s or something. But like, I don't think I've ever seen a video of him where I would have guessed that he was anything other than his mid 60s.
Yeah, I've come across videos of him that you can tell from the video quality that they're very old, but he doesn't look a day older than he does now.
This is one of them.
Or a day younger.
This was done more than 10 years ago. This is before he went to jail. Yeah.
What?
This is before he went to jail. And the only reason I do these is because he hasn't changed any of his arguments.
Yeah.
Like, he says the exact same crap now.
Well, yeah, I mean, because, like, again, I think we got into, I don't want to say an argument about it, but I really believe he's 100% full of shit. And, like, that he knows that he's lying. And that he doesn't believe in creationism. Like, I 100% believe that. Now,
I think he might believe some of it, but
want to not change their story for 40 years.
Right. I think there's a chance that he believes some of it, but he knows that he's being dishonest in a lot of areas, at the very least. So I think we can at least agree that he is a very dishonest person, but I don't know if he's entirely dishonest. Like, does he not believe in God? I think he does.
I'm going to fight you on this. We can have a debate. Ken Hovind does not believe in creation. I don't believe it.
Well, who's going to moderate it, though? Because you're one of the people who I would have moderate if I held it on my channel.
No. It's going to be me and you and knives.
And knives?
I'm just going to fight to the death on this.
All right, but I might have a few £1,000s on you.
I'm wily.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, and by the way, hey, Amos Marcos, which, actually, that reminds me, I have some thank yous to give out. So, Ben Hovind sent me the wonderful headphones that I'm now using, which are much nicer than the ones I was using before. So he got those for me from my wish list, so thank you very much. Also, I was playing, some of you might know that I have another show that I do occasionally called The Seabad Show, where we do movies. And it's me and Ben Hovind and Cheshire Vic, and Duke, who does not have a very big internet presence. He does not. I don't even know if he has an actual YouTube channel. I think he does, but it doesn't matter. But we were playing a video game last night, and I mentioned a video game that was coming out that I was interested in. And when I got off of when we stopped playing, I found that I had been given that game as a gift by Duke. So thank you very much, Duke. I really appreciate that, because he didn't even mention it. It was just there. I was like, there was just a window. I was like, oh, you have a gift. I was just like, what? Why is that? So yes, very, very much thank you to Duke and to Bent for wonderful, I'm assuming, Christmas gifts. If they're not, don't get me anything for Christmas, because that's more than enough in both cases. Oh.
And just to clear up something really quickly, Dartman said jail for what? And someone said, I believe, tax evasion. That's what it was for, right?
Yeah, so the primary charge was structuring and failure to pay payroll taxes is what it was. Yeah, so he was running Creation Science Evangelism, and he was paying his employees in cash that he would withdraw in sums of less than $10,000, because $10,000 is a reporting requirement. So if the bank notices someone taking out $10,000, they have to fill out a little form and give it to the IRS to let them know that this person did that. Mm-hmm. And so Kent was... But the other thing is, they are also supposed to report if someone takes out a little bit less than $10,000 consistently or frequently, because that can be an attempt to avoid the reporting requirements. Kent Hovind was, in fact, frequently having amounts in like the upper 9,000s withdrawn from his bank account, and his employees said that they were being paid in cash, and he was not paying payroll taxes on that. And his defense at trial was essentially, I don't understand what I'm being charged with, and this isn't a real law.
It's like a step away from a sovereign citizen.
Oh, I actually think he is a sovereign citizen, because he recently tried to sue his son for the return of the property that his son basically embezzled while he was in prison. I'm not going to mince words. Eric Hovind embezzled a whole bunch of stuff from Kent.
Oh, wow.
It happened. But he tried to sue him in like one of those sovereign citizen courts. And it's like, none of that's enforceable unless you already agree to have the dispute settled in that court, in which case it's just like any arbitration court. Because there are private courts all over the world.
Yeah.
And you can voluntarily enter under their jurisdiction, but you can't just sue an unwilling participant in them. That's not going to be enforceable. So I actually think Kent is actually a sovereign citizen. He doesn't talk about it a lot, but yeah, I think.
But he has those beliefs, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he goes the whole 9 yards where he's like, oh yeah, the social security number is actually like a security the government pledges in your name, and they have some huge amount of money put away under that name or whatever. Because that's an even deeper into the sovereign citizen thing, but he at least has some sovereign citizen leanings.
Yeah. And can I just say, I love the fact that he went to jail just so that I can occasionally refer to him as inmate number 06452-017.
I tend not to, because I would like to maintain the possibility of, like I said, I have a debate coming up, hopefully, with him. So
no, that's fair.
I want to remain on reasonably friendly terms with the man, because otherwise,
Mr. Hovind, if you're listening, those were my words, not Dino's.
Right. If you remember, I was very polite to you during our debate. But here we go.
Why would they put dragons on their castles? Marco Polo lived in China for 17 years.
I mean, why did I draw dragons in my notebooks in grade school? Because it's fun. Like, honestly.
He seems to have no concept of fiction and, creativity and coming up with stories for the sake of stories.
And the other thing is that a lot of the times that these stories were written, there wasn't really much of a distinction made between a big snake and a dragon. So if a big
Especially
old...
China.
Well, yeah, I mean, really. And yeah, it's just very frustrating.
He said the emperor is raising dragons to pull chariots in his parades. Why would he say that? Oh, probably because the emperor was raising dragons to pull chariots in his parades.
Or maybe they were doing dragon dances, like they still do. And in fact, you know what? Those dragon dances are pretty impressive. You ever seen one?
No.
So I grew up in a place that had an extremely large Vietnamese population, and the Vietnamese also do dragon dances. So every year or so, there was a Vietnamese cultural festival.
They do for Chinese New Year?
Yeah, they have the same New Year.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I'm thinking of the right thing, right? Where they get one of those snake-like dragon kind of costumes, and like several people are beneath it.
Exactly. Okay. So, I mean, it's just as easily explainable as Marco Polo saw this from afar and was like, oh, hey, look, dragons. And actually, if you see one in person and you're not terribly sophisticated, it's a pretty impressively lifelike thing. It looks a lot like a dragon. They undulate realistically. I mean, they have the eyelids and the mouth going, and sometimes they even have things installed so that smoke comes out. I mean, it's an impressive thing. And I could imagine that if you weren't too close to it and you were in a far distant land where no one that you knew had ever seen anything like this, you might just assume it's real.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of that theory of centaurs, that where centaurs came from is just people saw other people on horseback from a distance and had never saw horses before.
Right. Or at least never seen people riding them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. And the other thing is, Marco Polo didn't write his memoirs.
Did he not?
No. The travels of Marco Polo were recollections of someone who shared a prison cell with him for a while.
Oh, and no one would ever tell a lie in prison.
Right, exactly. So, the stories of Marco Polo are secondhand from prison. So, I mean... do we really have that much confidence in Marco Polo? Or not even in Marco Polo, in what Marco Polo's former cellmate said?
Yeah.
And the answer to that question has to be, well, probably not. I mean, no, that doesn't seem like the most reliable of sources. Because not only may Marco Polo have lied, but why wouldn't his cellmate have invented even wilder versions of the stories? So, yeah, there's really good reason to not trust that source.
Yeah. That kind of ends up being the moral of the film. What's it called? Big Fish. The movie about the man with all the fantastical stories, and at the end of it, you find out that all of the stories were sort of true. They were based in reality. They were just really greatly exaggerated.
Right. Yeah. Basically, yeah. That's It seems like that's probably what happened with the Marco Polo stories, because he's not even the author. But let's keep going.
Theory. Yeah. Okay. In 1611, they appointed the post of royal dragon feeder. Why do you need a royal dragon feeder?
Because sometimes you like to give friends and relatives royal posts that don't actually have them doing anything. It's this form of nepotism where you need to, for family or, relationship reasons, give someone a post, but they're obviously incompetent.
Do you think Sir Elton John has ever done?
They doing a job. They're not asking you for money. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. It's like, oh, here's a useless government position. Just don't rock the boat. I'm sorry, Kevin, you were saying something?
What was I saying? Oh,
Elton John.
Elton John. I was like, he's been knighted, Sir Elton John. Do you suppose he's ever, sat at a round table or done any actual knight things, or do you think maybe it's just a designation?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, no, well. And here's the thing: technically, a knight is a horseback-mounted warrior. That's what that is.
So what would I think of when I think of Elton John?
But so the thing is that, technically, you're not a knight until you fought on horseback, because that's actually what that's for. And no, I don't think Elton John has ever charged into battle on a horse.
Wouldn't that look amazing, though, in one of his really crazy feathered outfits?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would watch that music video if he did that in a music video. I mean, that would be amazing. But, yeah, no. And the same thing for, basically every other knight in the last 200... Well, not 200, in the last 100 or so years. Because, I mean, there were cavalry charges in World War I. Actual people on horses charging into battle in World War I. It's weird, but it's true, and it was very ineffective because it turns out that horses are really not immune to machine gun fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of the big thing with World War I, was the shock and horror of machine guns, because no one had ever saw that before, right?
Well, no one really in Europe had done so. The Zulu War, it involved some more somewhat primitive machine guns, but, I mean, that wasn't something that people at home in Europe had seen. It was far away. And, I mean, it was the only way that the British won the Zulu War. They would have lost without the machine guns, because the Zulus were far too good. But
far more tactically advanced.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, they were also way more bloodthirsty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
One of the things is we're like, oh, the horrible Brits. But it's like, the Zulus have been going around slaughtering and genociding local tribes for centuries. I mean, they were not nice people.
Right.
So...
I just took a quick glance at the chat. Dark Knight Apologetics, yes, it is me. And No Name made a really good point. New Zealand has an official wizard. Pretty sure that doesn't mean the government of New Zealand recognizes magic.
That's awesome.
Scotland is a unicorn.
No, what's the government that recognizes fairies?
There's a government that recognizes fairies?
Yeah, I was reading. Oh, wait, maybe it was a YouTube video. I think Rachel Oates did a video about, but don't quote me on that. But it was definitely, I want to say Iceland, or one of the ones that still.
It's Iceland.
Recognized this. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. I heard about that.
Where they stopped traffic because there was thought to be, they stopped building a road or a highway because they believed that fairies were in something, like one of the stacks.
Yeah, there are still fairy houses around and little stacks of rocks. Or
a professional fairy talker to talk to the fairies to get them to finish building the road. So, New Zealand recognized wizards and actually believed in magic and incorporated it into their government. That would actually make more sense to me.
Yeah, so I think we can safely assume that having the position of Royal Dragon Feeder is not in itself very good evidence of the existence of dragons in China.
Correct.
Let me guess. To feed the dragon. Yeah, right. Okay. There's a 13th century castle with dragons on it. There's a grave from the 15th century showing, and carved in brass, 2 long-necked dinosaurs.
I can barely even make out what that is. I mean, can you see that?
The one on the right I can see a little more clearly. I think the one on the left is supposed to be behind it, but
Okay.
it does look vaguely like a sauropod, but like it's a vague shape, like
Yeah.
the shape of a sauropod, just short legs, a long neck, big body. That's not really
It's not
all
very
that much on its own.
Right. It's not very specific.
Yeah.
16th century castle has dragons on it. We've got 7 coins in our museum on loan. They're silver dollars from 1500s to 1600s, real silver dollars. All of them
Okay.
show somebody slaying a dragon.
You don't think
Real
that's
silver dollar, therefore real dragon.
right? And I like this. This is obviously St. George. You can tell because of the Christian iconography and the stereotypical pose. So I'm sorry that the story of St. George and the Dragon was popular in Europe. I mean, what else is there to say about it? That's not every single reference to St. George and the Dragon counts as extra evidence for the historical reality of St. George and the Dragon. That's not how any of that works.
It was common 400 years ago. Everybody knew about slaying dragons. Of course, you got to slay the dragon. That's just standard procedure. Save the dragon, rescue the princess, or what.
Yeah, but St. George was a Roman soldier in Egypt in like the 3rd century. Stories about him in like the 16th century are not evidence of dragons in the 16th century, even if the story of St. George was evidence for dragons in the 3rd century in Egypt.
Yeah.
Like,
And I just keep thinking that it's entirely possible that anytime these legends mention dragons, it's just a metaphor for something else. Like, in the late 30s and 40s, people kept referring to the Nazi war machine. It doesn't mean that the Nazis literally had a giant machine that they were steamrolling across the country.
I feel like there are a number of animes that might beg to differ. But
That's
I don't
true.
know. I mean, anime is just as realistic as anything Kent is saying.
Hi, Dapper. Mikey has entered the chat.
Mikey, what is up? Oh, I see that right now. There he is. The deviants with a... Is it you? Or is it just really long yo?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of O's there.
Wow.
Could be you.
Such a boy.
Probably not, though.
Yeah.
Mikey, I would have you in, but I've tried this with 4 people, and it gets crazy. And I'm sorry, but you know what? Hit me up on Twitter or Facebook or something, and we'll get a live stream going for something. Yeah. We'll test your knowledge on dinosaurs. Here you go.
Whatever, I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
I was I'm kind of like filling in at the last moment here. If he wanted to come in after like the hour mark or something, I could step out.
Okay. Well, if that's what you guys want to do, that's okay by me. Because normally I'm okay with, like, if it's not a Kent live debunk, I'm okay with having 4 or 5 people on, but when it is, it's every extra person makes it a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah, I mean have you seen any of the show streams before where we have like 8 or 9 people and we
Yeah.
get through maybe 30 seconds of a video?
Exactly, yeah. And I told Bent that we would get through some of this so that he wouldn't have to suffer through all of it. And I don't know, the chat can't see, but we can see that this is a 2-hour, 20-minute video. Yeah.
But here's a Russian medallion showing a guy killing a dragon. Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's St. George again! Because, oddly enough, St. George is super popular in Russia. Sorry, not Russian, but Russia, yeah. Like, St. George is one of the most frequently depicted saints in Russian Orthodox icon. Like, I've been to a museum of Russian icons, because there was one in, like, some rich town in Massachusetts. I was still there. So I went, and yeah, it was a whole building, and like half of the icons were like, okay, maybe not half, like a quarter of them were St. George, and another third of them were like the Virgin Mary. Like, yeah, St. George is super popular in Russia. It's not extra evidence.
To be honest, St. George is hugely popular everywhere. There's a St. George's Cathedral in the city where I live.
Oh yeah, I mean, he is very popular. In fact, of the... What was it? 4 Eastern Orthodox churches where I grew up. Two of them were St. George. One was Antiochian and the other one was Greek. So if someone said, "Oh, I'm going to St. George's," you'd have to ask which one.
Australian postage stamp has somebody killing a dragon. The crest of Lithuania shows somebody killing a dragon.
Yeah, that's St. George again.
Yep.
My God.
That previous one wasn't, but that one is.
Right. It's like it's like almost 90% of his examples are just pictures of St. George.
A city in France was renamed Nerluc to honor the man who slew the dragon. Indians carved dinosaurs on the walls of the Grand Canyon.
That's a dinosaur? I can't tell what that is. That could be anything. That could be a coat hanger. I mean, my goodness, that is the vaguest thing I've ever seen claimed as obviously a dinosaur. I'm pretty sure that your 6-year-old kid could draw... No, actually, I know a 6-year-old could draw a better dinosaur than that. Because I have a 6-year-old nephew and like 2 6-year-old nieces. And I know that their artistic skill is beyond that.
And can I just point out that previous slide? He definitely just had that picture of the dying Triceratops just to reinforce his narrative. Like, it had nothing to do with the text that was on screen.
Oh, exactly, yeah. It was just a Triceratops up there. Like, oh, hey, guys, if I keep showing you pictures of dinosaurs while talking about dragons, you'll make the connection in your brain, which is true, you will.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And I don't like the narrative. It's just like, okay, because there were pictures of something, that means it actually happened. So... it's not like we have pictures of Zeus and Athena or any other god that they're all depicted in some way, shape, or form because something is found in literature or like hell, a flag. Like that's where you find like most of the mythological, like whatever a culture, worships, cherishes at all.
Right.
That's where you're going to find these things. So
yeah.
I mean, I love the cherry picking where, oh, hey, we saw this on a flag, so it's totally real.
Right. Well, and one of the other things is that, like earlier in this video, he said, oh, the gates to Babylon, the Ishtar Gate, had dragons on it. And one, they didn't look like dinosaurs at all. But two, he's like, oh, that's evidence for the existence of dragons. It's like, okay, well, are the statues of Babylonian gods evidence for the existence of the Babylonian gods? Because you wouldn't say so.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the same thing with, like, the Canaanite god Dagon, who was a person with a fish head. You think there was actually a god named Dagon who was a person with a fish head?
Well, it depends on what YouTuber you encounter.
Well, okay, yeah, but I'm talking about Kent Hovind, who denies the existence of any other god besides his own.
Right.
So, although I will actually say that in some versions of early Christianity, there was a belief that the gods that other religions prayed to were actual entities, but that they were demons.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But Kent Hovind... Yeah, but I've never heard Kent Hovind make that claim. He just seems to think that they just don't exist. Which I think is the more common belief in Christianity now.
Well, now.
Yeah.
Now. But definitely, and you even see it in the Bible, that was not their earlier belief.
Right.
They were very real as Yahweh, but they weren't the one true God, or depending on how far back you go, they were the Canaanite gods or the Ammonites gods. Yahweh is our God.
Wait, the Ammonites?
Is it Ammonites or Amorites? I think Ammonites.
I think it's Amalekites.
Many people that the Jews supposedly slaughtered, but
I just say that because Ammonites are a kind of extinct, like squid.
Squid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basically they're a cephalopod. They have tentacles and a little beak, but they also had a coiled shell.
Too much. I'm losing all of my biblical knowledge.
Just read the Bible again. It's not that long.
Good one.
I like the Broken Gods comment in the chat here. Dragons are real on the island of Komodo.
That's true, yeah. I mean, well, and the thing is that if you showed a Komodo dragon to someone in Europe in, like, the 1300s, they would just call it a dragon. Because,
absolutely.
I mean, it's a gigantic, scaly monster that can eat you.
It's big and scaly and terrifying, yeah.
I mean, it is actually a threat to the people on Komodo. People die from Komodo dragon attacks. Eaten by Komodo dragon is not an unheard of cause of death on the island of Komodo.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Why would they put dinosaurs
I
on
mean,
the walls of
you were
Grand
eaten by
Canyon?
a Komodo dragon, though.
What's that? Sorry.
He said he wasn't surprised, but I'm saying, you probably would be if you were actually eaten by a Komodo
Oh,
dragon.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Maybe because they hunted dinosaurs around.
I love this extremely unnatural picture of a dinosaur here. Like, what even is that? What dinosaur looked like that?
It kind of looks like a hadrosaur in a really inappropriate upright pose.
Yeah, it's like first, if that were a hadrosaur, it would break its tail.
Yes.
That tail would be absolutely shattered. Second, there's no way it could support its weight like that. It would topple over. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's probably what I would draw if someone held a gun to my head and they were like, turn this petroglyph into a dinosaur. Like, okay, I guess. But, like, that is obviously not a depiction of a dinosaur. Especially not the dinosaur being depicted.
Well, I mean, and they just, like, kind of outlined a section of the rock there. It's not even... I'd like to see, well, more of the rock, one, and then what it would look like without that outline or without them directing my eyes into this little area, because I'm not even certain that it should be anything at all.
I mean, I've seen this thing, and it's something. There is a drawing on there. There's a petroglyph there. But to say that it's definitely this dinosaur, which, yeah, I agree with Kevin here, it sort of looks like a hadrosaur, or at least... some kind of ornithopod.
This dinosaur. Like, we can stop going down that road.
Yeah, it's definitely not a dinosaur. It's something, though. I just don't know what.
Yeah.
There. Mm-hmm. In 1925, some guys took a raft trip down one of the canyons out west, and they wrote a report.
I'm just going to say that looks like a fish to me.
I can't even tell what I'm looking at there.
Right.
Well, so in the lower half of the screen, there's a slightly lightened part. And there's an outline of shadow that makes it look like it's actually been carved into the rock. But it looks like the kind of fish you learn to draw when you're in grade school, where there's like the two curves that sort of overlap 2/3 of the way down. And, the part where they overlap forms a tail, and the part where they kind of circle each other becomes the body.
The classic Jesus fish.
Right, basically, yeah. It looks like that.
It's supposed to be a turtle. I
mean, that's also possible, but...
yeah.
I want to hear how Kent makes this into a dinosaur.
They saw one of these dinosaurs, and they said the fact that some prehistoric man made a pictograph of a dinosaur on the walls of this canyon upsets completely all of our theories. Oh, they upset his...
You're not even going to try and make it look like a dinosaur, Kent? You're not going to give us a weird outline and a stupid picture that corresponds to it? You're just going to show us a picture of what looks like a fish and then just be like, nah, it's a dinosaur.
Also, creationists and other conspiracy theorists, they love to throw out those, like, this upsets all of science, and it really doesn't.
No, it almost never does, yeah. And the thing is, science journalists do the same thing, too. Like, someone will find, like a Homo erectus tooth in a cave from, 10,000 years before the previously earliest known Homo erectus fossil in the area. And they'll be like... new fossil finding overturns everything we thought we knew about human evolution. It's like, no, it doesn't. Not even a little bit. Like, nope, that's not what happened.
It's just like when we confirmed the geocorona, and all these articles were printed saying the moon is in Earth's atmosphere, and flat earthers went, I told you. And it was like, it's not that simple.
And the other thing is, it's like, at that point, it's not an atmosphere, it's an exosphere, because the particles contained there are following ballistic trajectory. There's no Brownian motion, there's no airflow, there's no viscosity.
Right.
No, but even when they released, they were talking about the black hole that, remember, how could you forget, earlier this year when they had the picture of the black hole.
Messier 87, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, we have this picture, it's awesome. But when they were talking about the release of it, everybody had an artist rendition of the black hole. And
people thought it was a real thing.
Because that fascinates me. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, we actually have a picture of it, and let me read about it. And they were really explaining. I expected to see exactly what I saw from reading the article. But the thing is, you have to actually read the article, which I don't think most people seem to. Most people don't seem to do.
No, most people don't.
But actually, that night, I remember watching Non-Sec and Hal Curtis had a picture of the artist's rendition and saying, "Hey, we found a black hole." I don't know if you saw that, but I mean, it's kind of like I don't know. It's very reminded me of like what they're doing here. It's just like we'll give you the headlines and we'll tell you kind of what to picture.
Yeah, we'll give you the headline and we'll use that to paint a narrative, but if you actually look at the source material, it has nothing to do with that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, now we get to have an awkward pause because Dino stepped away.
What? He's supposed to tell us that. Did he tell us that?
He did.
Oh, okay.
Very quickly and quietly.
He's like, don't bother Maya. But the thing is, I just keep talking and it doesn't really matter if other people are talking because, I'm that kind of bitch. You want to take this opportunity to show? Dino's away.
Well, I have nothing to show right now. My channel has been very, very slow lately. Go to the show's channel. Subscribe to them. We have a lot of fun there.
Well, when's the next video?
Well, I mean, the next show stream, we stream every Friday and Saturday, and probably we'll be doing more in the future. But for myself, I have no idea.
All right,
and welcome back.
Oh, yes. What are you talking about? I never left.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm ruining the illusion.
You're breaking. Oh, man. Now it's all over. Everyone knows. Anyway, let's keep going with this crap.
Theories. Oh, no. He said about a year ago, a photograph of a dinosaur was shown to a scientist of national repute who was then specializing in dinosaur. He said, it's not a dinosaur, it's impossible. Because we know dinosaurs were extinct 12 million years before man appeared on Earth.
Who said
it was the
that?
Scientist. Yeah. It's very convenient that it's a scientist of national repute who is specializing in this, but I don't know his name.
Oh my goodness. Either that scientist doesn't know how long ago non-avian dinosaurs go extinct, or he didn't know how long ago humans evolved because there was... The gap was much, much, much bigger than 12 million years. I know, I lived through it.
Fun fact, so I was taking a look at the slide here, scientist Charles W. Gilmore, who was an American paleontologist who did a lot of great things, and I don't see anything in his bio related to this claim here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if it's a completely made-up claim. Because the thing is, creationists have a tendency to both quote mine and to simply make up quotes that don't exist. And creationists have a tendency to not check their sources. That's one of the reasons why Kent Hovind will sometimes list sources, and then I'll check them, and the sources disagree with him. But the thing is, creationists don't check sources. Because why would a man of God lie?
My favorite one was when the slide that he was talking about even disagreed with him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, there was one where he was talking about the Big Bang, saying how ridiculous this thing was, but if you looked at the slide, it was talking about the nebular hypothesis of the formation of the solar system. And it was like, Kent, the nebular hypothesis is not the Big Bang. This is a thing that would have occurred billions of years after the initial expansion of the universe. Like, they are not terribly closely related phenomena at all.
I don't think a lot of YE-seers or conspiracy theorists can think in any kind of extended timescale. I don't think they have a concept of like millions of years or billions of years.
Oh, and Xenos Carthage, goodness, asks if we saw Kent's debate on Modern Day Debate tonight. I did not. I'm planning on watching that afterwards. Maybe directly afterwards, maybe not. But yeah, I noticed that he was debating, and I went to Modern Day Debate before the stream started, hoping I could catch the first few minutes of it, but the debate started late because it was a debate with Kent Hovind, and Kent Hovind is terrible at being on time for things. You remember when he was late for 2 weeks for his debate with Aaron Ra?
Yep.
Yeah. I remember that. And sorry, it wasn't a debate, it was a discussion. Sorry, Aaron, if you ever watched this.
2 weeks late to a discussion where he could sit down and say, but you think that that pine cones and elephants are related.
Yes, I do, Kent.
Aaron just sat there going, "They're both eukaryotes, are they not?" And
Right.
he couldn't answer that question.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the initial interaction between Aaron Ra and Ken Hovind, you should go watch it. Like, look, Aaron Ra and I have a few areas where we might not agree, see eye to eye, but oh my goodness, when it comes to taking down Ken Hovind, we are on the same page. So.
Hold on just a minute, okay? First place, it's not possible for you to know what happened 12 million years ago, okay? So let's just get that straight first up, okay?
Yeah, argument from
Secondly,
incredulity.
notice he said...
Right. I mean, that's... that argument from incredulity, equivocation, and projection covers something like 90% of creationism, honestly. Like, it really is those things. Like, those are the main things about creationism. It's a little crazy, honestly.
I even had this exact same argument with a flat earther a little while ago when I debated them, and their whole argument ended up being, we can't do these things in space. We can't, send satellites out into space and do all this crazy stuff. We just can't. It's impossible. And I kept saying, why?
Right. What prevents
until
it?
you explain why, you don't have an argument.
Right. Well, the why is because the Earth is flat, so you can't orbit a flat Earth. Duh. Come on. Don't you know anything?
12 million. Now, today the kids are taught dinosaurs died 65 million years ago.
Yeah, they were taught that at the time too, Kent. Like, yeah. This has been the standard answer for a very long time now.
And also, that's what just the end of the Cretaceous. There's several 100 million years that you're kind of missing out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you go to the first appearance of dinosaurs in the fossil record back in the late Triassic, I mean, you're at what, like 100-something million years ago? Normally, I can kind of remember, but I've had some vodka. So, yeah. Which, by the way, I do because I tried one of these things sober, and it was... Oof, I don't want to do that again. Let's just say that.
Did you do the last video sober?
What's up?
Did you do the last video sober?
The last... wait,
frustrated.
The last answer...
Apologetic.
Oh, yeah. I did do it sober, and I was being honest when I said that I was legitimately angry. I was.
No, yeah, I could hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, damn it, he did the sober.
Yeah, I did. I do all my my pre-recorded stuff sober. As far as I know.
PSA. You cannot Kent and sober. None of you. Unless you're under 21, and then you have to.
I did the debate with him sober. Fair enough. I think I had a beer during the debate, but that's not enough to have any effect. Is one beer. So yeah, my debate with him was sober. But let's keep going.
Aren't they? 65 million years ago? It's interesting to see the inflation of the age of the Earth. See, in 1770, they said the Earth was 70,000 years old. By 1902, it was 2 billion years old. 1969, it was 3.5.
Almost like science evolves.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hey, we got new techniques, and science has learned new things, so we've updated our estimates. And it's not like the estimates are fluctuating all over the place. Like, if in 1969, instead of 3.5 billion, they had gone back down to 70 million or 70,000 or whatever, that would have been curious. Why is that? What's up with that? But instead, no, they're going in a particular direction. It's like when he complains about estimates for the size of the universe at the beginning of the Big Bang, starting out at like 12 trillion miles or whatever, and then shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. It's because we learn more and more and more, and the minimum size seemed to, be zeroing in on a value.
And I hear this a lot. I think it's just the mindset that there are a finite set of facts, and they must be known. And if you don't know them, then you're not God. So why are you even talking? And it's like, I think when Landon was on here, he was talking about how exciting it was to not know. It's like, oh my God, we found something we don't know. Like, we just need to study the crap out of this so we can know it. And then you find something else and you get excited about that. And
right.
When you are given this information, like, this is everything you ever need to know, no need to think at all. Like, your mind gets kind of wrapped around that. And the idea of like not knowing is I don't want to say foreign, but like subpar or like lesser. And
Creationists like to just be able to say, "Oh, I know what the answer is." They don't like the idea that you might not know, and that might be okay, and it might be a cause for you to do more research. Like, I'm scripting currently a set of videos to a Answers in Genesis lecture about astronomy. And this is Ken Ham's organization. Yeah. So one of the things that this lecturer points out, he's like, "Oh, look at this article. They said that this new data raises many new questions about the formation of the solar system. They don't know what's going on at all." I was like, "No, that's how science works."
Yeah.
You get new data.
Science is always best guess at the time.
Right. And even if you have a good answer for a previous question based on your new data, that should raise new questions.
Yeah.
Every answer you get in science is supposed to bring up new questions that you didn't have before, because that is how you get new avenues for research. And he's complaining about this as if we should get some answer about some question and then just shut up and stop researching. But no, we shouldn't. That's not how science should work. I hope it never works that way.
Yeah, and I never understood that frame of thought. For me, and I talk all the time that I grew up Catholic. Science was the study of how God created, because that wasn't well found out. And it never interfered with my beliefs. So, I don't know. Again, it never interfered with my beliefs. So maybe that's why I didn't mind science so much. The science tests were another matter, but, learning about the world.
Right.
I thought it was, like, for me, as a Catholic, I thought that science, it was kind of like the study of God, and God's creation. And you were being godly by, wanting to get to know him and, seeking him out and how he does everything he does.
Well, until pretty recently, that was until very recently, that was pretty much the universal Christian idea when talking about science. Like, it's really not until
natural philosophy.
Right. It's really not until like the 60s or so that there was a concerted effort to just deny large swaths of the scientific effort in Christian circles. Like there were always some degree of science denialism in, usually fringes of Christianity. But the mainstream opinion in Christianity for centuries was what you just said. Natural philosophy and science were just... a common phrase was thinking God's thoughts after him. And I find it unfortunate that a large segment of American evangelical Protestantism, which is really where... it's pretty much the only place you find creationism in the USA, at least, has kind of gone down this anti-science road, because it's certainly not going to help people stay Christian if that's your goal, but it's also not going to help science. It's bad for everyone. It's bad for Christianity. It's bad for science. It's bad for the country. There's no upside to creationism. There just isn't.
Fair enough.
Billion years old. Today it's 4.6. Did you know the Earth is getting older at the rate of 21 million years per year?
Ken can do long division. That's all that means, is that Ken can do long division. He's not going to go into any of the reasons that these things are thought. He's not going to go into the discovery of radiation. He's not going to go into like any of Lord Kelvin's thermodynamic calculations. No, it's just like, I did long division and told a joke.
Yeah. And plus there's a gradient to this, right? Like thousands of years ago, our guesses were way off, and more recently in the past, our guesses were slightly off. Like, it's a matter of precision. We get much closer over a period of time. And like you were saying before, like, it'd be entirely different if in 1969 science said the Earth was 4 billion years old, and then in 1970 it said it was 70,000.
Right. Yeah, if we had just been throwing darts at a wall and just picking whatever, then okay, fine, that's weird and that's probably not okay. But science has been honing in on a number, and now that it's 4.6, which I think it's like 4.5 something, I don't know. It doesn't matter to me that much the exact age of the Earth. But yeah, it's like, that hasn't really changed a whole lot in like the 15 years since you've given this. So what, did they give up on aging the Earth 220 years a year in that time? No, because that's never what the goal was.
Right.
That's 40 years per minute. Okay, it's aging rapidly, folks. Anyway, if you go to Blanding, Utah, you'll see carvings of dinosaurs on the cliff there. Apparently they knew about dinosaurs, and
I can't tell what that is. Part of that might just be the poor video quality. I'm sure his slide was not this blurry in real life.
Oh, I think I see it. I think it's a theropod.
I think he's going to say it's a sauropod.
Oh, really? Yeah, I see the sauropod now, yeah.
Well, the thing is, so sauropod, if you ask like a kid, hey, draw like a long-necked dinosaur, like a brontosaurus or something, the only distinguishing characteristics are going to be a long neck and tail. But the thing is that that's so generic that you can see that pattern in almost anything. I mean, it could just be pareidolia. But let's see what he says.
Utah, the Indians knew about them. They killed them, apparently. This is a cave painting in Australia showing a guy running away from what appears to be a dinosaur.
That looks like a turtle.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's totally a turtle.
In fact, that looks like a cryptodeer turtle. Which, actually, I don't know. Are there cryptodeers in Australia? Crypto... Not even typing in the right field. Cryptodeer... Turtle... Rain. Oh, let's see. Where do you find cryptodeer turtles? Oh! I'm an idiot. I mixed up pleurodeer and cryptodeer. Whoops. Shows you how much I know about turtles. Don't trust me when it comes to turtles, everybody. I don't know anything. At least I know they're divided into those two groups.
Yeah.
Here you go. Alright, Pleurodira, let's see. Where do you find him, though? Yep! Pleurodeer turtles are currently restricted to freshwater habitats in the southern hemisphere, largely to Australia, South America, and Africa. Where, yeah. So not only was I able to identify which group of turtles this was, although I mixed up the two, but I knew it was the one that was in South America and Australia. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Pleurodeer turtle is a way more likely identification for this animal. And by the way, the difference between Pleurodeer and Cryptodeer is that Cryptodeers put their head into their shell by tucking the head in, going straight back, well, it's like down and back. Pleurodeers tuck their head in by putting their head to the side.
Ah.
Yeah, that's how you can tell.
I can't pronounce the name of this place in Canada, Misha something or other here, but it looks like these Indians have painted something on the cliff there that appears to be like a dinosaur.
Yeah. Okay, first
It's
of
a
all,
dermal frill.
get with the 21st century native Canadians. There are no Indians who are native to Canada. That's not how that works.
Yeah, they're First Nations people.
Yeah, or First Nations, Aborigines. There's plenty of other things you can call them aside from Indians.
As someone whose Ancestry.com DNA test came back as 1% First Nation, I am very offended. Don't ask me how that works with being a dinosaur. Just don't ask.
I don't know why. That gives me a really funny mental image.
Well, actually, it came back as 1% just Native American with, like, the entirety of the Americas shaded in. But I happen to know that given the nearly 50% French-Canadian aspects, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where that Native American ancestry is. And it's from the Hudson River Valley.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because that's where the French-Canadian ancestry is specifically from. So, yeah. And there was a lot of intermarriage with the French settlers in the Hudson River Valley.
And I think it's kind of worth pointing out that Native Americans, the Aboriginal peoples of the Americas, they all believe in some weird stuff that is definitely not real, like, say, skinwalkers.
Right. Giant birds that cause thunder across the entire sky, probably not real. Now, I don't want to say that they all believe in this now, but those are parts of their religious and
their traditional
their traditional, yeah. I mean, yeah. And this also doesn't look like any actual dinosaur. That's the other thing. Is all of these things only look like dinosaurs if you don't know what dinosaurs look like. I mean, look at it. It's standing like a bear.
Yeah. I bet it is a bear.
I mean, it could be a weird bear, although it has horns, so it's probably a composite, like a chimerical creature. Like, it's got the feet of a bear and the head of a buffalo and the tail of a lizard or something.
Maybe it's just kind of a stylized bison.
Could be that, too. All of these are more likely than dinosaurs, what I'm getting at.
Down its back. This is a painting from Australia. These guys are all dancing around what quite obviously looks like a dinosaur. Apparently, they're upset because it ate their friend. Okay, there's the friend.
I looked into this. This picture was produced in like the early 20th century, long after the Aboriginal people of Australia had encountered like mainstream science and paleontology. So yeah.
Yeah, the only date that's on this is 1998.
Right. Well, the thing is that that's like when it was published, but like
yeah.
Now, okay, when I looked into this, it was a long time ago. But yeah, this is a picture that was produced long after the Aboriginal people of Australia had encountered modern ideas about paleontology. So the most likely explanation is that, yeah, they drew a plesiosaur because they knew what plesiosaurs were, because they're familiar with paleontology. Because I don't know if you know this, but Aboriginal Australians aren't idiots who aren't aware of the wider world. They're actually people who have things like internet connections. Now, granted, Australian internet sucks, but it still exists.
I took a look at it here. The painting is actually a copy of an illustration in a 1960s children's book on dinosaurs.
Well, there you go. Oh my goodness, that's even worse. It's actually just about paleontological creatures. And of course, by the way, plesiosaurs are not dinosaurs. I did a whole video about that called Things That Aren't Dinosaurs, Episode 1, Plesiosaurs.
I was just thinking of that. Plesiosaurs and mosasaurs aren't either, are they?
Right, no, mosasaurs are actually lizards, unlike dinosaurs. Yeah. In fact, actually, if you look at the skull of a mosasaur, it basically looks the same as a Komodo dragon's skull.
Ah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's actually impressive. If you look at, especially if you look at very primitive mosasaur skulls, it's just a lizard skull. It's just a monitor lizard.
And inside, give him back, please, right now. Anyway, this guy says nobody's ever seen a dinosaur. Well, why did they put them on their cave paintings? Why did they put them on ancient pottery? Why do we see so many legends of dragons?
You haven't shown a single instance of an unambiguous dinosaur in any of these things.
No. Well, except the last one, which was literally a dinosaur from the 60s.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I'll give you that one. That was a dinosaur. But it's just as much evidence as that GeoGuide image of a pteranodon that he showed, which is to say none.
Down in Peru, they've got the driest desert in the world. It's only rained twice in 400 years, is my understanding. When the Spanish came across there in 1500...
Oh, interestingly, it's also one of the oldest deserts in the world. The desert, basically, in that area has probably been a desert for over 100 million years. Which is pretty crazy. There aren't too many environments that are that consistent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They found white lines on the desert. They were obviously man-made. Somebody piled up the rocks. There's a pile of white rocks that goes sometimes for miles.
Oh, I love the ancient aliens who say that these are alien landing strips. That's so much fun. Like,
I was just thinking, this reminds me of like the Nazca line conspiracy theories and everything.
This is the Nazca lines. That's what this is.
Oh wait, these are the Nazca lines.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah, these are the Nazca lines in Peru. But one of my favorite things is so one of my guilty pleasures is sitting down and watching Ancient Aliens from the History Channel because it's just so funny. It really is unintentional comedy gold. Like every other sentence is just hilarious. And
it's funny. Like we've taken them on the shows before, but something that kind of bothers me about them is that it's very intelligently written to kind of misinform people, to lead people in a certain direction. Like they're experts at like priming and doing that whole, I'm not saying it's definitely not this, but it could be.
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Yeah, I know. Or I think one of my other favorite lines of Giorgio Tsoukalos is such a thing even possible?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It's just like, oh my goodness.
Have you seen that photo of him standing with David Duchovny doing the aliens pose?
No, I haven't. You'll have to send me that.
Really funny.
Okay.
Aliens pose?
Well, the pose he made when that famous screenshot of him saying, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
It was aliens. He's got his hands up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight as an arrow. These today are called the Nazca lines. How many
Yep,
have ever heard of
Nazca
Nazca
lines.
images? They
Ooh,
got all these
hand up.
images down in Peru. You can study that if you'd like.
Hands
But strange,
up.
these images are interesting. But one of them shows a spider which has no eyes and one leg is longer than the rest.
Yeah, one leg is longer than the rest because you have to have a way to get there, Kent. These lines were the paths of ceremonial, like, processions. You're going to have the path of a ceremonial procession that gets to and out of the procession area. You got to have an entrance and an exit. But are you going to say that there was an actual spider with one leg that's super long and it was a dinosaur? Like, what is your argument?
And wasn't this kind of a recent thing in the news? There were some protesters who went to the Nazca lines to protest, and the people of that area got really upset because they were messing up the Nazca lines just by being there.
Well, they weren't so much messing up the existing Nazca lines as it was that they had drawn new ones, actually.
Right.
Because one of the things is that Nazca lines are very shallow things. Basically, you just remove the topsoil and there's this lighter colored rock underneath. And because of the low amount of precipitation and weathering and stuff there, they'll likely persist for thousands of years. So they wrote some environmental message in the desert where the Nazca lines were, and now it's going to be there for thousands of years.
Right.
So the pristine, ancient lines are forever defaced. It's like if you went to the pyramids and decided to carve your name in to the side of the pyramid. It's like,
yeah,
you didn't like erase something that was already there, but like no one wants to go and see your name on the pyramid.
no.
So yeah, it was a dumb move.
And for centuries, everybody thought, well, these were poor, ignorant, stupid people, you know, they forgot to put the eyes on, and they made the one.
No, it's not that they forgot to put the eyes on, Ken. It's that you can't have a break in a continuous line at this processional path for religious purposes. Do you want people to jump in the middle of the procession onto the eye, circle it, and then jump back onto the main path while doing this procession where they're parading around severed humans' head from their human sacrifices? Like,
One leg longer by an accident. Recently, there was a spider discovered in the Amazon jungle 1,000 miles away. It only lives in caves. It is extremely rare. It's supposed to be one of the rarest spiders on Earth. It's 1/8 of an inch long, little tiny spider, lives 1,000 miles away in the dark, in the caves. The spider has no eyes. And during mating season, that one particular leg grows longer, and it exchanges DNA off the tip of that leg for 15 seconds.
okay, first, I don't believe that that's a thing, because I happen to know how spiders mate, and they have spermatophores on the ends of their pedipalps in the males. There is no spider that uses its leg for mating.
I was pretty sure that there's no part of the reproductive system of spiders that's in the legs.
No, there isn't. The spermatophores are transferred to the female from the pedipalps of the male, and then she uses her own limbs to insert them into her gonopore. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. I know way too much about spider sex. Sue me. But, like, no, this is not a thing. And yeah, sure, there may well be a eyeless cave spider. But what is the argument here? People in Peru knew way too much about a cave spider, and they put it on the side of a mountain, therefore Jesus?
Well, therefore, modern-day dinosaurs, therefore Jesus.
Okay. That's an extra step of nonsense that I hadn't considered. Like, even if he were right about this, none of this makes sense. And I like how he doesn't tell us the name of the spider so that we could check.
Right.
It's like there was a spider found in some cave somewhere. And the other thing is, as an adult spider, you can't just grow a longer leg. It requires you shedding your exoskeleton, then pumping either air or fluid. In the case of a spider, it would be fluid into the leg. But the problem there is that you couldn't then shrink the leg.
So what you're saying is entropy is a thing. Like, in order to create energy, you have to consume a fuel.
Yeah, it's the entire story makes just no sense at all.
No, exactly, and that's the point. You can't be sober. You are not drinking enough.
Do you want me to go get another drink?
Ooh, that's tempting.
Because that means you have to entertain the chat.
Oh, I'm totally entertaining the chat.
That's true.
The chat
I
is
mean,
thoroughly entertained.
you're better at this than I am.
I'm way better at this.
I'll tell you what. I still have some of this drink left. but I staged 4 glasses with vodka in the freezer. So when this drink is done, I'll go get another one. Because I knew what was happening. Yeah, I planned ahead.
And so Kevin, I begged him. I'm like, what are we talking about today? And he was like, it's some kid type shit.
It's true.
And I'm like, no, really, what's the topic? Like, oh, you can just research all of evolution.
That's
like,
that's not at all what I said. I gave you the name of 4 cryptozoological creatures that are supposed to be dinosaurs according to some people.
None of which Kent mentions because he has no idea what any of that is.
Yeah, but if you look them up, you would be familiar with the idea of cryptozoology dinosaurs.
But Kent
he didn't even give me that.
I know we're not talking about that.
Well, I also
brush up on some dinosaur-related cryptozoology.
Well, yeah,
no.
But
yeah.
I mean,
this is how I prepared for today's stream. Yeah. This is what you do, and you gotta really fill up the glass.
Hey, YouTube, this is not for kids, by the way.
Oh no! You got 25 at least to ride this ride.
Ooh. I thought it was 21.
No. Your brain isn't even done until 25, so Ken can still influence you. I don't want anybody thinking that this makes sense.
I was just meant for the wine.
Oh no, this is my wine.
Well, yeah, but if someone wanted to buy a bottle of identical wine, and the off chance that vineyard made more than 1 bottle,
Dapper.
The off chance.
Drink.
Okay, fine. Let's keep listening to Kent.
How did they know that? In Peru, 1,000 miles away. Maybe
They probably didn't, Kent, even if it were true.
they weren't so stupid after all.
No one ever said
Anyway.
they were.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one said that stylized animals in the Nazca lines are an evidence of people being stupid. People draw things in a stylized manner for all sorts of reasons without being idiots. Like,
But do you know how hard it is to draw an animal with like detail over like miles?
right.
Miles.
And the thing that he's forgetting is that
expected.
these were ritual things. Like, there's this thing that you'll find in cathedrals in Europe sometimes, or just big churches in general, where there's this little, like, maze pattern. But it's not really a maze, because there's only one path that you can follow. And you just follow it. And the idea was supposed to be that you're supposed to follow it while praying, and it was like a metaphor for the spiritual journey or whatever. These are that kind of thing in the desert in Peru. These were used for religious processions. You were supposed to follow the lines. But no one is going to make, like, a photorealistic giant spider so that people can trace the path of the spider? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense.
In 1535, the Spanish conquistadors came through that area and they found stones with strange.
It's conquistador.
I was going to say conquistadors. Come on. You are so white, Ken.
The thing is, he lived in Florida for like 25 years. You should have picked up a little bit of Spanish in that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is like the whitest white man that has ever whited.
Animals on them. They sent some back to the King of Spain and said, "What on earth are these animals carved on these rocks?" The king said, "I have no clue." Today they're called the Ica burial stones.
No, they're not, because there's no evidence that Ica burial stones were ever discovered with anything like that until modern time. And by modern, I mean like very modern, like the 60s.
Ica, Peru.
But I'm glad
Swift
he's talking
is probably
about
the world's
Ica.
expert on those. He's one of my good friends from Portland, Oregon. He did a great session at our boot camp in 2005, our creation boot camp we have in Pensacola, Florida. And we've got his DVDs of him speaking on the Ica stones. Oh, it's incredible. You can still get those on our website. But these stones show dinosaurs on them. The
That one doesn't seem to, but keep going.
Nazca burial stones from about the time of Christ, plus or minus a few hundred years. Some of them show brain surgery. They find brain surgery instruments, hardened copper, tempered copper instruments for cutting into people's heads, apparently.
I'm going to go ahead and say that is not a surgical instrument that you've got in your hand there. I mean, that's probably not Kent's hand, but whatever. That's on me. But, like, that's like a chisel.
Yeah.
I
was
use
going
that-
to say that looks like something for carving.
Right, like, I might cut a tree with that. Like, if I didn't have a pole or anything. But actually, I don't even know that it wasn't mounted on a pole. Like,
Yeah.
that's do not cut into anyone's head with that, because you will not treat them for anything. We'll just kill them. Which, if that's your goal, then I guess okay. Which actually, it might have been their goal too. How do you know that's brain surgery and not murder?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, what tells you what the difference is there? And the thing is that a lot of these ichthyostones are fake, which he's probably going to get into later. I'm not sure, but he probably will. And some of them are authentic. But I don't know if you know this, but killing people was a pretty common motif in a lot of South American art. South Americans did a lot of killing. I mean, I'm not saying like,
well, I mean,
especially like, yeah, everyone does. Ancient people now do a lot of killing.
Yeah,
that's not a new thing. We just gussy it up in new ways.
Yeah, we justify it,
right?
Sort of.
We're liberating Iraq. Like, okay, how? Oh, by slaughtering 500,000 kids. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, Madeleine Albright. Sure.
That sounds like liberty.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing says freedom like dead kids.
Oh, God.
No, okay, I'm trying not to be political. You don't you dare.
Some of them show heart surgery, limb reattachment.
Is it limb reattachment or limb severing? Is it heart surgery or is it human sacrifice?
Or heart removal, yeah.
Right, because we know that Mesoamericans practiced human sacrifice by removing the hearts of their victims. I mean, like...
Come on, Kent, haven't you seen Apocalypto?
I'll be honest, I like that movie.
I actually really like Apocalypto. It's a good movie.
Like, I don't want to get started on the director, but...
Yeah, he's his own special case, but he knows how to direct a movie.
Yes, he's a crazy man, but he can direct a pretty good movie. Yeah. Actually, I even thought he did a good job directing The Passion of the Christ.
Oh, yeah. Structurally, it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
Steam engine. One of them showed what looks like a steam engine.
Where? You say that, so show it. Where's the steam engine? Because I don't freaking see one.
Strange things are found on these ichthyostones in Peru, but quite a few of them, over 500, I believe, show dinosaurs. Why would they have dinosaurs in humans?
All right, so Maya, I'm gonna make good on my promise to go get a drink when my drink is empty, and even people can hear me now, so everyone knows that's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go get some more vodka.
I definitely heard you hit the bottom of that glass.
You heard the ice clink.
He was like, yeah, there's so many steam engines in these ancient rocks, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh, that reminds me. So, I have a brother, and I mean, it's not like we had a falling out or anything. We just don't talk a whole lot, right?
Yeah, no, that's what you do.
But we had this long talk today about all sorts of stuff, and one of the big things I took away from that is that he was like, "Hey, man, I really like all your videos. This is great. I'm really enjoying watching your stuff." And I was like, and I've talked before on like my Leaving Young Earth Creationism about the whole like, I don't really talk about this with my family a whole lot because I don't know where everyone's standing on that, and I don't really want to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was nice to find out that that my brother, my younger brother, not my youngest brother, but that he's enjoying this stuff. He's sort of a fan. That was really nice. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I was really happy to hear that. And if you're watching, thanks, and I hope that that your daughter likes that doll and that your son likes that plush Tyrannosaurus for Christmas. It was an Anna doll from Frozen 2. Not Elsa, because I got her an Elsa doll 2 years ago. All right, I'm gonna go get that drink, and you two talk about steam engines or something. I don't know. I don't care what you talk about.
Or something.
Well, I've been looking up some things about these stones, and turns out a bunch of them are probably modern forgeries. So there's that.
Oh my god, I am shocked.
I can hear it in your voice. And like, all I did was look at the Wikipedia article for these things, and it's the second paragraph. In the 1960s, Javier Cabrera Darquea began to collect and popularize the stones, obtaining many of them from a farmer named Basilio, I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name, who, after claiming them to be real ancient artifacts, admitted to creating the carvings he had sold. So they're basically the young Earth creationist version of crop circles.
Okay, so you completely debunked this whole thing in a matter of seconds through a Google search.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, it's almost like they don't even try.
Yeah, it's almost like they're willfully ignorant. Like they're intentionally not finding the answers.
And passing that misinformation on to others, that is sinister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you were saying, I don't believe that Kent believes all of the things he spouts. I'm pretty sure he probably does believe in God. He probably is a
I believe, yeah,
Christian,
I'm
quote
sure he
unquote.
believes in God.
But
I'm sure there's some evil monetary reasons behind all of this.
hence
But I
tax
don't
evasion.
1 minute believe that he believes that there's an earth.
You don't think
Yeah.
he's a young Earther for real?
Hmm?
Kent?
Yeah.
No, okay, so I found our mod.
Okay, hold on. I'm just double checking to make sure that I didn't miss any. Okay, yeah, no. I just want to make sure that while I was gone, like, did I miss a super chat or anything? Because I wouldn't want to do that.
I know. Yeah, guys, why are we not missing? Like, we're missing the super chats. Like, we're missing them. What's up with you?
Hey, I
I
mean,
want it.
hey, look, you don't want to give me money, don't give me money.
You know, you did this to yourself. Tomorrow's Friday.
I
Should have
know.
been stream on Friday.
I'm actually thinking about trying to do a makeup Kent with Bent on Saturday. I'm not sure how that's gonna go though, so don't hold me to that, because if he's not up to it, I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah. You don't want to kill Bent because
No, who would I do Kent?
that would be horrible.
I would have to end Kent with Bent.
That would make you a horrible human being.
I'm not a human being.
Or yeah, whatever the genus species.
You don't even know.
Why would I know this?
I know your
You're
genus and
stink.
species.
You're stink.
You're a Homo
I don't need
sapiens.
to know shit that doesn't. Well, I know a lot of shit that doesn't happen anymore.
Exactly. It's Ceratosaurus nasicornis.
What I do know is that killing Bent would be evil. Oh my
Yes.
God, Jens. No, we gotta stop. Okay, stop the show.
What?
Jens is a fucking rock star.
What? What happened? Oh yeah, €2. Hey, there's a delay. There's an extra delay on this interface. I don't know why. But thank you very much, Jens, for the €2 Hey You sticker. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. But let's get.
Jens, total hard eyes.
I know it's actually pretty cool. I like it. But let's hear more about the Icastones.
No, I want to hear more about Jens. She's total rock star.
Well, by the way, I'm pretty sure it's Jens.
Jens.
Yeah.
I'm an American, damn it.
Well, okay, but that doesn't mean you have to mispronounce people's names.
No,
I had this problem
what?
recently. I
That is
debated
entirely what that means. Have you not met another American?
Unfortunately, I have.
Okay, if I'm mispronouncing your name, Jens, you know, much love always. I'm always throwing love out.
He's one of my patrons.
Everybody who's here, because you guys are awesome. You're all rock stars.
It's true.
But Jens is really rocking it. The rest of you need to step up. All right, where about Kent?
What was it, Kevin?
I was going to say I had this problem recently myself. I debated a Swede named Jan, but it was spelled Jan, and I kept calling him Jan.
Yeah.
I
At
just
least
couldn't stop myself.
At least you didn't call him Jan Levinson. And if you get that, I like you a little bit more. All right, let's get a little bit more nonsense from Kent.
On the same stones. Well, because people lived with dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's definitely the reason. They couldn't
Anyway,
be
there's plenty on that.
forgeries.
There's one from our museum. Shows a dinosaur holding a guy by the head.
Yeah, but that doesn't look like a real dinosaur, Kent. That looks like a comic book dinosaurs from, like,
Yeah.
the 60s, which it is. Because the guy who faked them said that he got his models from, like, comic books published in the 50s and the 60s.
Oh, wow, that's brilliant.
Yeah, they were like, how'd
well,
you get the ideas? And he showed these comic books that had dinosaurs in them.
While you stepped away, I did a quick Google search and found that a bunch of these that Javier Cabrera bought, the guy who he bought them from admitted that he'd forged them.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, the story has always been that, oh, they're from a cave. Okay, what cave? Oh, it's a secret. Well, then they have no provenance and they don't mean anything. Because in archaeology, unless you have a provenance, it's not an artifact. Right. You could have... Look, you could find the most important archaeological artifact ever found in the history of the world. You could find the actual Holy Grail. If you don't have an archaeological dig site designation, and you don't know where in that dig site you found it, it doesn't mean anything. You might as well toss it in the trash.
Yeah.
I mean, but Dapper, you're missing the point. It was just really, really convenient that the people, you know, who over centuries put these dinosaurs on this rock and, you know, conveniently in this tunnel all in the same place.
I like the chat's pointing out, it looks like a Gorn from Star Trek. Yes, it does.
And it's from the 60s.
Yeah, I know.
60s. This is clearly just an artistic depiction of Kurt fighting the Gorn.
Right.
That's before he fashioned the cannon out of bamboo. Because bamboo cannons are entirely practical, and you can't tell me otherwise.
No, somebody did a video on this where they're like showing, like, oh gosh, and it was from the 60s, like coloring books or like different things where you could see where he was just tracing.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how obvious it is that these are not authentic.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. I just noticed Kent Hovind in this pic, or is this actually Kent Hovind? I think it is. Whoever this is that's holding it has a velociraptor skull in the background. It's an actual, it's at least a reproduction of an actual velociraptor. So they should know what dinosaurs look like, because they've obviously seen their bones, and they don't look like this, but whatever.
This one we've got shows what appears to be a guy cutting the head off the dragon, because the dragon killed his friend. You can see the friend's body is inside, but his head's missing. So his buddy's just doing what the Bible says, you know, vengeance is fine, saith the Lord.
I feel like that's not a direct quote from the Bible, Kent, but I don't know. I don't have it all memorized, so maybe the Bible does say, vengeance is fine, saith the Lord.
Is that not Hammurabi's code?
Well, so there are some similarities between Hammurabi's code and the Mosaic Law. Like, the Mosaic Law had a principle of an eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth, which is essentially the same principle as Hammurabi's code, where it's like, okay, so any personal injury judgments essentially resulted in the offending party receiving the same injury. There were other options, like you could take, if you were the victim, you could take a monetary settlement instead. But the default punishment was that you have the same injury that you inflicted upon you.
Right.
And it's harsh, but on the other hand, it's not the worst standard ever, because it makes you think, okay, I'm about to do something violent. Do I want whatever the consequences are to fall on me too? If this is deemed inappropriate?
Right.
So I'm not going to say that I approve of an eye for an eye, but it's also not the worst idea out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Something like that. But this guy's jabbing one through the throat with a spear. This one's hard to see, but he's shoving the spear down the dragon's throat.
But it doesn't actually look like any real dinosaur, Kent. Like, if these actually looked like real dinosaurs, I would be more inclined to say, well, that's impressive. But not only has the person who sold virtually all of these admitted that they were fakes, but they don't look like real dinosaurs in the first place.
This one, the dragon's got the guy by the arm, and apparently his spirit is leaving. He's flying off into heaven, or wherever they go when they die in their culture, you know. This guy's got the knife stuck in the dragon's head, and the dragon's biting the guy. We've got 8 of these stones in Pensacola, Florida. It's the largest collection in America, I believe. At 50.
Largest collection of forgeries.
Well, yeah, also, it's in North America, Kent. Or it might even just be the United States. Because, you know, those were found in the Americas. Stop being so USA-centric. That's never going to happen. Kent Hovind he's selling a Trump Dynasty t-shirt where he's projecting all these future Trump family member presidencies into, like, the late 2040s or something. And I'm just like,
wow.
Okay, I get it, you're a Trump supporter, but why you would go and say, I want an American dynasty? Like, I'll be honest, when I thought that there was a fair chance that the 2016 election was going to be Hillary Clinton versus Jeb Bush, That upset me more than the idea that it might be Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump, because that was like, that's the USA flirting dangerously with dynasticism, which I'm not a big fan of. And I was like, when Trump got it, I was like, well, I don't like either of them, but at least we have the possibility of avoiding dynasticism.
But at least it's not another Bush or not another Clinton.
Yeah. So that's one of the few good things that I'll say about Trump. Or any politician for that matter. Look, I don't go into my personal politics, but I'll say this. If you're the president of the United States...
That's me too. But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, maybe, you know, it wouldn't be... and I'm not a fan of the Bushes at all, but I'm kind of missing Jeb Bush, honestly. He was hilarious.
But he was low energy. He was absolutely low energy.
He was low energy.
I can't pull a Trump impression out of my ass.
So here's what I'll say. I tend to shy away from politics on this channel. I do have opinions, and some of them are pretty strong. But I'll say this: if you're a president of the United States, chances are I think you should die a horrible death right now.
That's good.
And if you ever were a president of the United States, chances are I think the same thing. And if you want to be the president of the United States, chances are I think the same thing.
That took a turn.
Yeah, so there you go. That's how I feel about politics most of the time.
$1,500 each, you know, not too many people have these things, but some of them show circles on the side. Now that's kind of interesting. Why would they put circles on the side of the dinosaurs?
Because you got to put something there.
Because style is a thing.
Like, why would you put hash marks across its back? I don't know. Why would you put little squiggly Charlie Brown lines across the belly? I don't know. Why not?
Well, nobody ever found dinosaur skin.
Wrong.
Yeah, wrong.
Until about 20 years ago, when fossilized
Well, that's
dinosaur
wrong.
skin was
Yeah, okay.
found. It's very interesting. The dinosaur skin has circle patterns on it.
So, dinosaur scales, based on skin impression, were primarily reticulate scales, similar to the scales that you find on bird feet. Well, not the big squarish ones on the tops, the ones on the bottom, you know, like the bottom of a parrot or an eagle's feet. And they were about the same size in most cases, which is to say a few centimeters at most. Now, Triceratops had sort of octagonal scales that were significantly better and had a raised bit in the middle, and there's been some hypothesis that maybe that raised bit had a stiff protofeather like a quill. That's still very speculative. But none of them were nearly as big as the circles that you just showed on this dinosaur. So if you're going to try to imply that these gigantic circles on this obviously stylized and extremely inaccurate and almost certainly fraudulent Triceratops are an indication of unimaginable paleontological knowledge, one, no, because they don't fit that, and two, why don't the other dinosaurs have such amazing accuracy? Why does the Tyrannosaurus look like a freaking kangaroo?
Kind of look like Barney.
Which is similarly inaccurate, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric is here.
Oh, hey, Eric, what's up? Yeah, actually, Eric and I are probably going to hang out IRL next week. Or is it the week after? I don't remember. Oh, I can't do time. We're going to be hanging out soon. IRL.
He's awesome.
Because he's going to be...
I can't believe you didn't have Bob Knob in here for that last stream on a bunch of shit I didn't care about.
Gee, thanks.
No, it's so crazy. So, like, I always know about everything, like, days in advance. And I happen to be in YouTube because, like, that's what I do. And I see, like, a thing pop up in my sub thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I text him. I'm like, are you fucking streaming? And he was like, what? Yeah. And I'm like, I feel hurt. What happened? Why would you tell me about this? It's so horrible.
Oh,
and then
sorry.
he starts talking, and I'm like, oh, okay. No, he gets me.
Oh,
but I stayed because
it was the Godzilla stream. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, I get it.
No. But Bob, like, I'm offended on behalf of Bob. He should have been here.
I mean, that might be fair.
He's a freaking Godzilla monster. Oh my God.
Okay. All right, I'll tell you what. If I do another Godzilla stream, I will invite Bob. And
Catch about Bob.
by the way, Bob Knob is one of my $20 patrons, so get on Bob's level. That goes for you too, Maya.
More $2 super chats, but Garfus like, no, it's called Discord. Hit the $20 button.
Hey, you pledge $1 on Patreon and you get access to that Discord.
You absolutely do.
So yeah, I have an extremely low bar for getting onto my Discord for my patrons.
No, you have the highest bar of anybody on YouTube. Just saying.
All right, let's hear some more about things that are definitely fake.
They had to see a live one to know to put that on the stones, because you couldn't tell that from the bones. We got some dinosaurs.
I mean, I appreciate that he's trying to make the argument that they had otherwise impossible information about dinosaurs. It's just that it's such a poor argument that it's like, why? I'm not even sure why he bothers.
In our museum in Pensacola. Recently, they just found unfossilized soft dinosaur tissue. Soft dinosaur tissue?
Hey, that's Mary Schweitzer. I played a clip of an interview she did on Steve McRae's Great Debate Community at one point in one of my videos about this very topic, where she goes into some detail about, one, how this doesn't support young Earth creationism, and two, how much she hates young Earth creationism, despite being a devout Christian who was a young Earth creationist until she started studying paleontology. So, there you go.
So now the brilliant scientists are trying to figure out, how could tissue stay soft for 70 million years?
It didn't stay soft for 70 million years, Kent. It had to be dissolved in concentrated acid for a week to become soft. It didn't stay soft. It stayed chemically able to be soft after a week in acid. That's a lot of things.
Yeah. The thought,
I bet if we put Kent's skull in acid for a week, it would get soft.
will never cross their brain to question that maybe it's not 70 million years old. I mean, that thought will never enter their head.
Yeah, because all of the available evidence says that it's not 70 million years old, and even if that were available evidence that indicated that it was younger, it would be the one weird outlier. So the most likely explanation is that you don't understand something about the fossilization or decay process.
I was just thinking exactly that. Like, if you find one dinosaur that, just say for the sake of argument, it's found out that it's not that old, that it's only maybe a couple hundred years old or something. That would be the oddity, because you've already proven that all the other dinosaurs are millions of years old.
Right. Well, except for the birds.
Right.
Don't diss the birds, man.
Actually, sorry.
So today I was talking to someone and they were like, "Oh, did dinosaurs have gallbladders?" And I was like, "Well, they do now." "What do you mean? How do you tell?" And I was like, "Well, you just dissect one." "What? Like you find an old fossilized liver?" I was like, "No. It's like cut open a penguin. Penguins are dinosaurs too." But then they got upset about killing penguins, and I was like, "Well, I don't know. Do a different bird."
Go with chickens.
Yeah, cut open a chicken. Enough. People cut open chickens all the time.
No, you clearly missed Dapper's turkey video.
Oh yeah, you did miss that, didn't you?
Oh.
I depressed everyone by describing factory farming of turkeys.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I went into the details of how factory farming of turkeys worked.
Well,
And
just, as soon as you said factory farming, my heart sank a little.
right, exactly. It's sad.
Head, okay? Yeah. This guy's
Next
cutting the head off a
Santa
dragon.
Claus. I'm
Well,
fucking with you.
Oh, okay.
There's a guy riding one. We got a ton of information on dinosaurs living with man. Sometimes they're in friendly gestures, like this one's petting him. He's got his head laying on his shoulder, okay? Pottery was found with dinosaurs on it. A mummy was found in a tomb wrapped in a blanket, and all around the blanket were dinosaurs.
Where?
Yeah, what?
Show.
I see skulls.
Yeah,
I see human skulls.
I see the mummy.
I see the mummy. I see some vases.
Yeah, like where's... If you're going to show us a picture, at least show us the dinosaurs you're talking about.
Why would they put dinosaurs on their blankets? Why would they put them on their pottery? Why would they carve them on cliff wall?
You haven't shown that they did.
Why would they put them
Also,
on their
because
waistband?
art.
Well, yeah, I mean, people put weird mythical creatures on things, but in order to say why would they do all these things, you have to show that they did in the first place. You haven't even come close.
In Acámbaro, Mexico, 56,000 ceramic figurines of dinosaurs were found.
No, 60 whatever thousand figurines were found. Most of them are very easily identifiable as fish or insects or lizards. A very small number of them have been interpreted by some idiots as dinosaurs and by some other idiots as spaceships.
The spaceship ones are great. I love astronaut cave paintings. I think that's hilarious.
Yup. Yeah, this is one of those, like, he's now literally veering into, like, ancient aliens, History Channel territory. Yeah, like, this is the, yeah. And that's the other thing, is some of these Ecostones and Acámbaro figurines also depict, supposedly, by the same, you know, logic that he's using to say they depict dinosaurs, they also depict aliens and spaceships. So why doesn't Ken believe in those things? If it's evidence for dinosaurs, it's evidence for aliens. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like, you can't have it both ways.
Knew about them in central Mexico. They have always lived with man. They did not live millions of years ago. But everybody today is saying dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. Nobody's ever seen one. Yeah, I think they have, okay?
They have if they come to my channel.
An Italian peasant killed a dragon that was bothering his cows. They had it stuffed and mounted for a museum display in 1572.
That is just a monitor lizard.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, like, think about the information he's given you to check up on it. An Italian peasant sometime killed a dragon.
Yeah.
And then in 1750, it was mounted in a museum.
Yeah.
Well, gee, thanks for the specificity.
Specifics on purpose.
Right. Like, hey, did you know that one time some guy in Germany killed a dragon? It's true, you can look it up. Like, what do you look up? Did you know that one day a long time ago, a guy killed a T-Rex? It's true, you can look it up. No, you can't. You can't look it up because you haven't given us any information that's useful. Some museum and some dude are not a citation.
And in fact, he's getting very close to flat earther territory now, where it happened, look it up, do your research.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I at one point said do your own research is like the mating call for this.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean anything. And I do a lot of my own research. And you know what I find? When I'm careful about it, it tends to confirm the scientific consensus. Because there's a reason that that's the scientific consensus. It's because that's what you find when you do the research.
Yeah.
By the way, you know why so many Italians are named Tony?
Because St. Anthony is popular in Italy.
Yeah.
Literally, that's why. That's the actual answer. But let's hear your bad dad joke.
Years ago, they were shipping them to America, and they stamped on their forehead, "To New York."
That's even worse dad joke than I thought.
There's a word out there called non-MIDI. It describes a moment in what's supposed to be a funny movie or something like that, where you weren't even smiling or laughing to begin with, but when the joke happens, your enjoyment level drops. That's what just happened to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's like, look, some of Kent's dad jokes are actually okay.
Some of them are not awful.
Yeah, this one, it's just he doesn't tell it anymore, so that's good. But it's just awful. Not even alcohol is making me feel better about that one.
Just a little bit of trivia there, but the Sutton artifact appears to show what it looks like a pterodactyl with its wings folded up.
What? Does it? I don't see that at all. I don't even know what that's supposed to look like.
Bad.
Is it supposed to be anything? Let's see what this says. The Sutton artifact shows what appears to be a
pterodactyl with its wings folded by a side. How? Yeah, I'm not seeing that at all.
No, I mean, I guess I can see some teeth up at the top left, maybe? But it's so fuzzy, I can't tell. And even if that is teeth, I don't see how the rest of it's supposed to look like a pterosaur.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? The Sutton Hoo collection is actually fairly famous. I might be able to Google this.
I actually just looked up this thing here. It looks to be a depiction of Beowulf battling the worm.
Oh, that could be. Okay. Yeah, I'm just seeing the helmet because everyone cares about the helmet. Wait, I should. Oh, I'm seeing some of it now. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can find a nice higher resolution.
That was my issue. A lot of the images are really not great quality.
Yeah, they're low res. Oh, here's one that's not too bad. Okay. Okay, so let's see. This is the actual thing that we're looking at here. I can see him. I can see it like a mouth.
Yeah.
But I don't see.
Yeah, there's definitely a creature there.
Right, but I don't see how you're going to identify this as a pterosaur.
Yeah.
No, because.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could just as easily be a fish or a snake, or I mean, almost anything. So yeah, I'm not going to say that this is an unambiguous pterosaur, which Kent, of course, because he's an idiot, calls a pterodactyl. Like, if you're not portraying yourself as an expert in paleontology and you call pterosaurs pterodactyls, I'm not going to complain.
Right. But when your website is called Dr. Dino.
Right. Yeah. And he goes back and forth, by the way, on whether pterosaurs are dinosaurs or birds because he doesn't think that that birds are dinosaurs. Sometimes he calls them birds and sometimes he calls them dinosaurs. And he doesn't accept that birds are dinosaurs. So he's like triple wrong on that one. So, yeah. But thanks for letting me look this one up, Kent. That's better than you usually do. It's just, you were wrong again.
This lady sent me this picture of the dragon found in Utah. Said, Brother Hovind, looks like a dinosaur to me, carved on the cliff up here.
Does it look like a dinosaur? Because to me it looks like an unintelligible bunch of nothing. But, I mean, sure, why not? Maybe it's a dinosaur.
I was going to say, for a split second when I first glanced at it, I thought it was King Ghidorah.
That would be more fun, honestly. Which actually seems like the direction they're going in the MonsterVerse is like, oh, we're gonna like connect this to like ancient legends of monsters and stuff. That's why a lot of the titans that aren't from Toho are given names like Behemoth and Scylla and Charybdis and Baphomet. Which actually, I'm honestly hoping that we get to see more of some of the non-Toho titans in future movies.
Same, yeah. It was, first of all, it was very exciting to see the original Toho monsters in an American movie,
right.
But at the same time, yeah, it would be nice to see some original creations.
Well, they had some really good monster designs. But again, we're getting into that area where Maya doesn't care. Maya, watch more kaiju films. Just do it. Watch them with you have sons, I think.
You have Bob Knob.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Bob Knob too, but Bob Knob has already seen all these things. Time for you to watch them.
Exactly.
Roman artifacts were found in Tucson, Arizona. By the way, the Romans came across the ocean way before Columbus did.
What?
What? Tucson is pretty close. Let's see. Tucson Roman artifacts. It's a thing. Let's see. Tucson artifacts, sometimes called the Tucson Lead Cross, Tucson Crosses, Silver Bell Road artifacts, or whatever, were 31 lead objects that Charles E. Manier, I don't know, family found in 1924 near Picture Rock, Arizona, which were initially thought by some to be created by early Mediterranean civilizations that had crossed the Atlantic in the 1st century, but were later determined to be a hoax.
That's the second one that's just a straight-up forgery that he just...
Darn it. I know, seriously. Oh, well. And the other thing is, why would you make swords out of lead? Like, lead is the softest metal out there. Your flesh would resist a lead sword. Like, you stab someone in the belly with a lead sword, the belly's going to win. Like, you can deform lead with your fingernails. It's so soft.
Yeah.
Columbus was not the first white man across the ocean.
I agree, he wasn't, but it also wasn't Romans from the 1st century, Kent.
Yeah.
It was Vikings.
Yeah.
There was trade back and forth for centuries until the Catholic Church kind of had the Dark Ages come in and shut down knowledge and information. But
okay, as someone with a degree in history and a minor in medieval and Renaissance studies, it really bugs me whenever anyone says the Dark Ages, because it's just not a thing. There were no Dark Ages. The Dark Ages are essentially a period in European history where monumental architecture wasn't built much. But if your standard for what is a good society is instead of were giant buildings erected, instead if your question was, were there fewer famines and plagues and wars? Did people get to live longer? Did they get to enjoy a relatively peaceful, happy life? The Dark Ages were great compared to the Roman era. The only way to say that the Dark Ages are worse in terms of anything is if your measure of society is how many giant stone buildings did they make. The Dark Ages weren't a dearth of scholarship. There were significant advances in agriculture. There was a lull in wars. There were very few plagues. The Dark Ages were some of the best times in history before the modern era. And it really bugs me when people talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I always heard that there was art, like there wasn't as much art and literature during that period.
So there was.
I'd always thought the name referred to like dark, as in we don't know all that much about it because there isn't all that much record.
Well, one of the problems is
not that much art or anything.
The art and literature was primarily put down on things like parchment because there wasn't a lot of monumental architecture. So there was a lot of art and literature written during the Dark Ages. It just wasn't put in giant cathedrals because no one was building them. But the thing is, I don't consider like the fact that there aren't a whole lot of giant cathedrals going up right now in the 21st century, I don't think is a huge detriment to the 21st century. Like I'm very happy with the lengthening world life expectancy and the extreme reductions in world poverty and hunger and all these things. And the fact that people aren't putting up as many cathedrals is like, okay, whatever. Although actually I shouldn't say they aren't putting as many cathedrals because there are lots of cathedrals being built. They just aren't big and fancy. Because technically all a cathedral is the church where a bishop is the guy who's the normal priest there.
Oh, okay.
Dad would like to correct something. The Dark Ages were when people were trying to invent machinery to feed me.
I'm sorry, what was that?
He says, at Dapper Dino, the Dark Ages were when people were trying to invent machinery to
feed me. Yeah, okay, I get that, the Broken God. By the way, I appreciate having the Broken God in here because it's just a little bit of a connection to the SCP Foundation that I otherwise wouldn't have. And if you don't know what that is, check it out.
Wait, what? The SCP Foundation? How are they involved here?
Because the Broken God is here.
Oh.
Yeah. The Church of the Broken God is a group of interest, a GOI. There's a lot of SCPs related to the Church of the Broken God.
Interesting.
He's in the chat.
Well, we may be straying into that Maya doesn't care territory again, though.
Yeah, and also we should keep going before we all get... I also don't want to be administered any amnestics against my will, so let's keep going.
Brenda the Navigator came across in 500 AD. Roman coins, or Hebrew coins, were found in Ohio in a burial mound. There was trade back and forth at the time of Christ.
Look, the last thing was fake, so I'm just not even going to look this one up. I'm just going to assume that it's fake, too. I can only Google so much.
Across the ocean. But in a Los Lunas Decalogue stone here found in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah, the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. I've looked into this before. Wow. By the way, the first time I heard this, I was literally in Los Lunas. It was surreal, by the way. I was in a hotel in Los Lunas because I went there for my last job a lot. There's a data center being built out there. But anyway, well, I won't tell you who's building it, but I will tell you that they hand out stickers with a big F on them, and also stickers with a big thumbs up. But I did sign an NDA, so I can't tell you who's actually building it. Those are the stickers they have everyone put on their hard hats. So you interpret that as you will. Oh, and the dominant color scheme is blue on white, or white on blue. So big Fs, thumbs up stickers. Can't figure that out? Can't help you. But anyway, yeah, these are forged Mormon artifacts.
I was just looking it up, and no one had ever heard of this thing before 1933.
Yeah, they were forged by Mormons to give credence to the Book of Mormon. So even if this is true, it doesn't help Kent much. It helps Joseph Smith a little bit, I guess. Which also... Okay, first of all, if you're in the Mormon half of my D&D players, I'm sorry, I apologize for this. Please still show up to the game on Saturday. But yeah, I'm extremely confident Joseph Smith was just a dishonest, like an intentionally dishonest person.
The word fraud was on my tongue, and I just didn't want to say it.
Well, I mean, he was a known fraudster before he became a prophet.
Mm.
But yeah, and I'm sorry to the 2 out of 4 of my D&D players. Please show up again if you're watching this, which you probably aren't, but whatever. Yeah, my D&D group is one half Mormon, quarter Protestant, and quarter atheist, but doesn't like to identify with atheists because he hates most atheists. So it's an odd mix.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, I asked him once. I was like, "Why don't you like go call yourself an atheist? You seem to fit the definition." He was like, "Oh, because atheists are assholes." I was like, "Okay, that's fair."
No, I was just thinking that. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, we're playing 5th edition, by the way. It's not necessarily my favorite edition, but it's the one you can get the books for most easily. And I don't want to make my players try to hunt down like 3.5 or whatever. And I don't know. I guess we could play Pathfinder, but we just aren't.
There's an 80-ton...
half Mormons in there, but that's better than Jimmy.
Oh yeah?
Half Mormons?
No, they're not half Mormons. They're half of the players are Mormons.
No, that's what I said.
I know, but it's more funny if I say it that way.
Half Mormons.
Do they wear only half of the magic underwear then?
Actually, I don't even know if they wear them at all. I don't look. I don't know if they have their temple recommends. It's not my business. I don't care if they do. But if you don't have the temple recommend, you don't have those underwear unless you had it and then lost it. But it's not that common. You know what? Mormon underwear isn't that weird compared to some of the things that other people.
That's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Stone showing the 10 Commandments in Byzantine.
No, it was in archaic Hebrew. Byzantine isn't a language. Byzantine is an empire that primarily spoke Greek, and those aren't Greek letters.
He was saying Byzantine as a language?
Yeah, he said it said it in Byzantine. You could say Byzantine Greek, but the Decalogue would have been written in Koine or Koine Greek, depending on which pronunciation you want to go for first century Greek. I tend to prefer the actual pronunciation that the Greek Church goes with, but I recognize that the sort of thing you learn in most American seminaries in your ancient Greek class is probably closer to the original pronunciation that was used in the first century. I don't care. Go with whatever one you want. But either way, that's not Greek.
Which was only used about 500 AD, is my understanding.
In fact, you could even see...
Somebody came across...
In the picture he had, it was just unfuzzy enough to make out that was a early version of the Hebrew alphabet. I could see some of the letters. One of the letters in there was Vav. It's... If you're going to present hoax archaeology as your evidence, at least get the story of the hoax right. That seems like the bare minimum. Don't misrepresent the hoax. God.
To evangelize America, made it as far as New Mexico, 1,500 years ago. But one of these Roman swords shows what quite obviously appears to be a dinosaur on it.
You mean one of those fake lead swords? Okay, sure, why not?
How on earth could they get dinosaurs on their swords at the time of the Roman Empire?
The real question you should be asking, Kent, is why were the Romans making swords out of lead? You don't think that's a more pertinent question? Why was anyone making...
That looks perfectly sturdy.
Yeah. It doesn't even look like a real sword.
No, it looks like something a child made for fun.
Yeah, it does. Actually, it literally does. I know children whose fathers have been good at woodworking, and that's the kind of sword they made for them out of wood.
Yeah.
During the age of sailing ships, there are thousands of legends of people sighting sea monsters.
Yeah, because the ocean is scary. Have you ever been on the back of a ship in the pitch black at night where you can't even see your hand in front of your face and all you can see is a little bit of bioluminescent algae that the wake of the ship has stirred up, and the stars.
Yeah.
It's literally the only light you have. It's freaking creepy. I know, because I did it a lot.
Yeah, he's kind of just ignoring that, like prior to space exploration, the oceans were the final frontier.
I mean, to some extent, they
were
still are.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are
Well,
areas on the
below
ocean floor.
water, absolutely.
Right, like, there are areas in the ocean where we know less about those areas on Earth than we do about the surface of Mars. Like, we have a global height map of Mars. We don't have a global height map of some areas of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, to a very real extent, the oceans are more mysterious than the rest of the solar system.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And like,
I just realized I said the key word and I didn't say it correctly. I'm sorry. I meant to say water, beneath the water.
the water. Yeah, you gotta say it like Kent. But yeah, like, if you've ever been on a ship out in the middle of the ocean at night, it is one of the most creepy experiences you can possibly have. And I'm not talking like, some cruise ship where the lights are always on. I'm talking like either a ship where there just aren't lights because, it's an old-timey wooden sailing ship with no electricity, or you're on like a warship where they turn on the lights because they're pretending that they're stealthy, even though aircraft carriers are never stealthy. In fact, the point of an aircraft carrier is to not be stealthy, but they still pretend. I'm honest, they do pretend. It's stupid, but whatever. But yeah, it is one of the creepiest things because like, if you were to just take a little tumble off that deck, no one would ever find you. They might not even notice that you were gone. And the fact is that people disappeared all the time at sea at these times. It's really easy to get very creeped out. Like, you don't know what's under that water. There could be anything. It's pitch black, and people disappear. It's extremely easy to let your imagination run away with you.
Yeah.
I know firsthand. There's no surprise that people imagine sea monsters.
Well, if you're in a sailboat, it's kind of quiet going through the water, okay? With a diesel engine, they can hear you coming 50 miles away underwater. Of course, you're not going to see one, all right? But there are legends all over.
I'm sorry, is he implying that sailboats aren't still a thing?
I think he is, and I think he's also saying that just because modern engines exist, that's why nobody ever sees a aquatic dinosaur.
Okay. Sure. I mean, why not, right?
Of dragons living with man. I think we've really been lied to. We could spend a long time on dragon legends. I read prolifically on that topic about dragon sightings down through history. Just get our video number 3 if you want more on dragon legends. Did you know there are actually stories of giant octopus living in the ocean?
Oh, you mean like that Kraken that you thought was a dinosaur? Yes, I'm aware. In fact, once again, going back to personal experience, I used to live on Puget Sound, which is where the giant Pacific octopus can most easily be found by humans. So yes, I'm very aware. I used to live next to them. It occurs to me, I've done a lot of weird things.
Now occur to you?
I know, like everything he says, I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I have done that. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I was there. Well, hey, I guess there are some good aspects to having been in the Navy.
Yeah.
I mean, like really, really, really big octopus.
Yes, Ken.
One octopus walked up on the beach in Florida. It was 200 feet across and weighed 5 tons.
Citation needed.
Well, he said
octopus.
it. It was an octopus in Florida at some
A
point.
whale was
somewhere.
killed near Seattle.
Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Giant octopus, Florida. The St. Augustine monster was the name given to a large carcass. I'm just looking at it, and I think it's probably a whale. Anyway, originally postulated to be the remains of a giant octopus that washed ashore in the United States of the coast. On the coast near St. Augustine, Florida, it is sometimes referred to as the Florida monster or the St. Augustine giant octopus, and is one of the early examples of a globster. The species that the carcass supposedly represented was assigned the binomial names. Should say binomial. Octopus giganteus and Octopus How are these different? Oh, Otoctopus giganteus. There you go. Although these are not valid under the rules of the ICCN. 1995 analysis concluded the St. Augustine monster was a large mass of the collagenous matrix of whale blubber, Likely from a sperm whale. Oh, hey, I correctly identified it based on some blurry photo from 19 whatever. I am better at this while drunk based on one photo than Kent is while sober giving a lecture. Why are you so bad at everything, Kent? Oh, I know, it's because he's a scam artist. I mean, that's the real reason. But, like, every single time he gives me enough detail to look something up, he just proves to be laughably wrong. And I really hate that I was just right about this immediately. Because if
that was very quick.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, lobsters tend to be whales. That's one of the
And
things.
I mean, I looked it up as well, and as soon as I saw that first picture, I was like, yeah, that looks like a whale.
Yeah. And look, the thing is, a lot of things rot in a weird way. Like, you ever see the Montauk Monster?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a raccoon, but doesn't freaking look like a raccoon. So yeah, things are weird. Like, whatever. But, like, you don't have to go with the dumbest first conclusion you reach. But then again, this is someone who thinks that the appropriate way to interpret Genesis is as literal history. The first...
Yeah, well, it's completely literal, except for the parts that you don't take literal.
Right, like the floodgates and the firmament, that's sort of iffy.
I was just going to say, that's surprising.
Floodgates, but not firmament.
Yeah, Kevin is right. Kent really should be a flat earther by his own standards.
Yeah.
But
by the way he interprets the Bible, you would think he would be.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know what? When I said that, you yelled at me.
Well, I don't remember ever yelling at you, I'll be honest. I feel like that has never happened.
Well, I actually want to quote, I don't even know how to say this, Vesta Frazier, who said, interesting, 4 years ago, my husband and I went almost 3 weeks on his, can't talk today. Damn wine.
It's the wine.
I know, right? Interesting. 4 years ago, my husband and I spent almost 3 weeks on a sailing ship in the Caribbean. Never saw a sea monster. So checkmate, creationist.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. Christianity disproved. I mean, not really, but okay.
Inside the whale's stomach was one arm to an octopus that was 150 feet long.
I just don't believe you. But even if it were true, here's the thing. Let's just say it's true. There are gigantic, monstrous-sized octopi, or it should be octopodes if you're going to go with Greek, or octopuses if you're just going to go with English. Let's be fancy and go with Greek. Let's say there are gigantic, monstrous-sized octopodes in the ocean. Okay? Like, what? So?
Yeah, what's your point?
Right. Like, how does this help any of your arguments? Like, I just don't get what the point is.
Whales love to eat octopus.
Well, sperm whales and maybe some dolphins. Yeah, I don't think your average humpback whale is going to eat an octopus, but sure, whatever.
Blue whale.
Yeah, no.
And if a whale eats too much octopus, he'll get sick and puke it back up.
What? I don't think that's true, but I'm going to go ahead and guess that he's going to go into ambergris.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ever see a piece of puked up octopus floating around in the ocean, be sure to grab it. It's worth a fortune.
Yeah, but the thing is, ambergris isn't puked up octopus. Ambergris is much more similar to a pearl. Basically, the whale swallows something hard and indigestible. And whales can't just immediately vomit. It's a process for them. So in an effort to make sure that this hard, potentially sharp, indigestible object doesn't actually damage the digestive tract of the whale secretes a waxy, fatty substance around it in the digestive system, which it then pukes up.
Yeah.
But it might sometimes be a cephalopod beak, but it's not like, it was just enjoying a great Humboldt squid steak, which, by the way, I love. Love those. But anyway, and then it was like, oh, this soft mantle is too hard. I'm going to puke it up. Like, no, that's not how it happens. And it doesn't have to be a squid part or an octopus part. It could be anything this whale swallows accidentally.
Yeah.
that is obviously too hard and indigestible.
Does anybody know what they make out of puked up octopus?
Yeah, perfume.
Perfume, that is
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly. We all know.
The movie Hannibal.
That explains a few things.
It also taught you how to prepare human liver.
Yeah.
You prepare it with fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Nice Chianti.
Which actually, I don't even like goose liver or cow liver for that. Kind of like liver. It just tastes too metallic. Whatever.
Things, doesn't it, fellas? Hey, dear, you smell like a puked up octopus.
Okay, so the real thing there is that the fatty substance can dissolve a lot of non-polar compounds, which are aromatic, that water and alcohol have trouble dissolving. Like, this isn't exactly a mystery or something that's weird and gross. It's just that the physical properties, along with the non-polar nature of the lipids, allow it to dissolve things that you can't easily dissolve in water or alcohol. I mean, that's it. This isn't some mystery. But I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you can sleep on the couch for a month, too. Yeah. There are
Yeah, because obviously the thing that has been making the finest perfumes for centuries smells horrible. That's the most likely explanation, Ken. Everyone is stupid but you.
giant squids found out there in the ocean. I mean,
Oh, now there's squids.
really big squids. We could spend a long time about that one. A giant squid washed up on the beach in New Zealand. They said it was a baby. Full grown, it would have been 150 feet long.
I don't believe you.
People say, no, wait, Hovind. If there are dinosaurs mentioned all through history, are dinosaurs mentioned in the Bible?
No. Well, except for birds. I mean, dinosaurs are mentioned in the Bible because the Bible talks about, like, eagles and vultures and, like, you know, doves and whatnot. So, yes, dinosaurs are 100% mentioned in the Bible. However, non-avian dinosaurs are not mentioned in the Bible at all. And if unidentified Leviathan is here, sorry, but no, they're not. Kevin, you don't know who unidentified Leviathan is, do you?
I do not.
He is my most regular Young Earth creationist viewer.
Oh. An actual fan, not like a troll who follows you ironically or anything.
Oh no, Dapper won't allow you to call him a troll. I've tried.
So I don't think he's trolling. I think he... Okay, how about this? I don't think he's always trolling. I think sometimes he's a little trolly for fun, but it's never to the point where I'm like, nah, get rid of unidentified Leviathan.
I don't know how to get rid of unidentified Leviathan.
Yeah, don't get
He
rid
didn't
of it.
even have to try. He erased one of his own comments, and Dapper was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I just glanced over and I thought someone had deleted it, and I was like, don't delete unidentified Leviathan's comments. Because I had seen the comment, and I thought it was fine. But yeah, unidentified Leviathan, if you're out there, hey man, have fun out there in the frozen great north of Canada.
No, I've been looking for him. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I don't know, it's late. Actually, I don't know if it's late. I mean, it could be even earlier there where he is. I don't know where he lives in Canada. I just know he lives in Canada.
Oh, he is in Canada.
Yeah, he could live in British Columbia, though, for all I know.
Oh, yeah. Dinosaurs in the Bible? Yeah, we're going to cover that in the next session.
Oh, in the next session. You're not going to cover it now. Thanks, Kent.
Dinosaurs not only mentioned in the Bible, some dinosaurs might still be alive.
Whoa! That totally disproves evolution, because evolution says that things have to go extinct after a certain period of time, except that it doesn't.
It's that whole argument of if humans evolved from apes, then why are there still apes?
Yeah, it's similar. It's like, oh, evolution says that the dinosaurs went extinct. It's like, well, first, no, evolution doesn't say that. Paleontology says that.
History says that, yeah.
Right. But the other thing is, even if it didn't, that wouldn't be a strike against evolution. Evolution doesn't say that the dinosaurs had to go extinct. It just says that sometimes things do go extinct and other things fill the absent niches. Nothing about late surviving members of various groups from the past violates evolution. No one denies that crocodilians managed to survive into the present, but
right.
They're just as old a group as, ceratopsians.
Yeah.
A surviving triceratops or just triceratops descendant wouldn't be any less acceptable for evolution than the late surviving alligators that we have. There's just... Yeah, okay. Actually, you know what is an interesting group of very late surviving animals that were like really, really common in the past, in like the Mesozoic, are the giant salamanders that you find in like China and the United States. Like, you ever hear of a hellbender?
No.
Hellbenders are aquatic salamanders, and they are gigantic. We're talking like 3 or 4 feet long. But China has close relatives that are like 6 feet long. The largest salamanders in the world. They're like the size of a small crocodile. It's ridiculous. And they used to be very much more common in the Mesozoic. And they're an example of one of those weird groups of animals and plants that exist in China and the United States, but almost nowhere else, like ginkgo trees and alligators.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the United States has native ginkgo trees and alligators and giant salamanders. So does China. And they both descend from Mesozoic examples, because in the Mesozoic, there was actual interchange of flora and fauna between the area that's now China and the area that's now North America, except that in most of Canada, those things went extinct as the Ice Age proceeded. Which is one of the weird reasons why China and the United States have a strange overlap in flora and fauna, but only in animals and plants that made the crossover during the Mesozoic. Later Cenozoic animals have almost no overlap. So, yeah. Interesting little tidbits of biogeography that you miss if you pretend that evolution is another thing and that geological past is made up.
We'll cover that in a minute.
What is this, some kind of an intermission?
Okay, let's take up where we left off about dinosaurs.
If it is an intermission, I don't know how much longer you plan on streaming.
Oh, we can end at any point now. In fact, this is as good as any intermission. I'll pick up on this at another time. Actually, yeah, we've been going for over 2 hours. Well over 2 hours, really. So, thank you, everyone, for coming. Remember, on the 21st, I should be having a debate on Team Skeptic's channel with Fight the Flat Earth.
I look forward to that.
Yeah, hopefully I can do fairly well. And look, I'm not here to go, like, beat up Craig. Craig and I are friends. I was his guest for his first episode of Stupid Humans.
And that's why I think it's going to be interesting, is because Craig's tactics with debating generally are pretty aggressive, but I know you guys are on pretty friendly terms, so I wonder how he's going to adapt to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to keep it pretty friendly. I'm not here to attack Craig. And I know that he doesn't think of me as an idiot. So, you know. So yeah, hopefully that'll be fun, and it'll be a fairly lighthearted, and yeah, it'll just be an interesting time. Yeah. No, it's not a Flat Earth debate. I'm debating Fight the Flat Earth, who is a Flat Earth debunker, whose channel I've been on. We did a collaboration. So we're definitely on the same side on most things. So yeah, look forward to that. I'm going to be trying to hammer out more details with James from Modern Day Debate about my debate with Ken Hovind that he's trying to help me set up on his channel. And keep a lookout, because I'm going to be creating my sort of off-topic channel, Top Hats Off, in the coming few days. And that'll have, like, basically, if I'm ever doing anything that I think anyone would ever want to watch, it's going to just end up on that if it's not on topic for this channel. So, yeah.
I'm just asking what you guys are going to debate, the topic.
Oh, so the topic is going to be, should teaching kids the flat earth, or to believe in the flat earth, be considered child abuse? And I'm going to be taking the position that no. I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's child abuse either. Yeah. So, and Craig,
I think that'd be an interesting discussion, because I can see the merits of both sides, really.
Right. Well, I can too. I get why Craig has the position that he has, and I can't say that it's a completely stupid position. I get it. Understand. I just happen to disagree.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that should be on Team Skeptic's channel. And the only other thing I can say is, chances are I'm going to start streaming on Twitch in half an hour or so. So let me pull up my Twitch. And also, Maya, can you link to Kevin's channel again while I'm doing that? Oh, not Twitter.
I actually did the opposite yesterday. I meant to go to Twitter and ended up going to Twitch.
I mean, that sounds better. That sounds great, actually.
It's a step up, yeah.
All right, so here, linking it now, this is my Twitch address. So I'm going to go live on Twitch. You can't send me any money. Can't do much, but I will be keeping an eye on chat. I'm probably just going to do some Mass Effect 3 multiplayer because I'm trying to grind my way back to having a decent loadout for that game because I had it on Xbox way back in the day when the Xbox 360 was still the hot shit.
I never played the multiplayer of Mass Effect 3.
You should. Do you have it on PC?
I do, I think. I think it's somewhere in my Steam library.
Well, Mass Effect 3 is on Steam, so no, you don't.
Is it? Oh, then I guess I don't.
Yeah.
Shoot, I had it somewhere.
Unfortunately, Mass Effect 3 currently for PC can only be purchased on Origin.
Oh.
But if you have an Origin account, let me know off air, and I will add you. And if you want, you can join a Discord with me, and we can go kill bad guys on Mass Effect 3. Right. So, yeah, I'm going to stop the stream. Thank you very much for everyone for coming. I appreciate it. And especially thanks to Jens for sending me a €2 super sticker. So many things to keep track of. Currencies, super chats, super stickers, whatever. Anyway, say goodbye, everybody.
Thanks very much for having me. Goodbye.
Absolutely.
You guys, you know I love you. You guys are the smartest chat on YouTube.
It's true.
And we'll see you in the next stream.
All right. Bye, everybody.